Technological divergence from the Type 59. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. Expensive? Not expensive at all. Okay. Lin Chenran's face was filled with a happy smile, and his whole person exuded an aura of joy. Another chance to travel through the heavens. This feeling was so wonderful. It was like suddenly drinking a glass of cool and refreshing boiled water in the scorching desert, which was extremely refreshing. At this moment, Lin Chenran already had a preliminary understanding and knowledge of the system's tasks. Although he had obtained a new opportunity to travel through time, he was not in a hurry to try it. Instead, he planned to return to the 077 mechanical arsenal before making a decision. When he finally returned to the bustling imperial capital, the old man's personal bodyguard He Yi appeared in front of him again to greet him. Seeing He Yi, Lin Chenran smiled knowingly and said in a friendly manner, "Brother Yi, you don't have to come to pick me up in person every time." Hearing this, He Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. "You guy, if the old man hadn't ordered me to pick you up, I wouldn't bother with you. But then again, I really didn't expect you to be able to successfully negotiate this matter." As the old man's personal bodyguard, He Yi naturally understood the importance and difficulty of Lin Chenran's mission. Lin Chenran had previously revealed some relevant information to him. Therefore, He Yi was deeply surprised and impressed by Lin Chenran's ability to successfully complete this arduous task. Hey, just a trip to Russia and a direct payday. Lin Chenran sighed helplessly, but the smile on his face betrayed him. This was bragging. If I hadn't negotiated with the Ural Vagons of a design bureau for a 760 horsepower, 4-stroke, V12 cylinder, V46 diesel engine, I would have been too embarrassed to face anyone. However, He responded bluntly, "You're so shameless, how could you possibly be too embarrassed to face anyone?" His voice was tinged with teasing, reminding people of their tacit understanding and friendship. Hearing this, Lin Chenran immediately became angry and shouted, "What? Who said I'm thick-skinned?" Facing Lin Chenran's anger, He Yi calmly replied, "I don't know." Lin Chenran stared at He Yi fiercely for a moment, trying to get an answer from him. But He Yi obviously didn't fall for Lin Chenran's tricks. He continued to drive attentively. His eyes were firm and focused, and his hands were tightly gripping the steering wheel. To ensure the safe driving of the vehicle, the car became quiet, with only the roar of the engine and the sound of tires rubbing against the ground. Lin Chenran hurried across the yard. Without stopping for too long, he went straight to Mr. Lin's study. Standing at the door, he took a deep breath, and then knocked on the door gently. Knock knock knock. The knocking sounded a little heavy. "Come in." A low but full-bodied voice came from the study. After hearing this voice, Lin Chenran's heart tightened slightly, but he still slowly opened the door and walked into the room. After entering the study, he saw Mr. Lin sitting at the desk, looking at him seriously. "Grandpa, are you looking for me?" Lin Chenran asked softly, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. "Yeah." Mr. Lin nodded, staring at Lin Chenran with a torch-like gaze, as if trying to see through his eyes, to see into his heart. "Sit down, let's talk." Grandpa Lin's tone was calm, yet it carried an unquestionable majesty. Lin Chenran cautiously walked to the desk, gently pulled out a chair, and slowly sat down. He placed his hands on his knees and leaned forward slightly. "I heard that you signed a contract with the Ural Vagons of a design bureau, and they are willing to sell you their 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine. How much did you spend?" Grandpa Lin sat in the chair, looking at Lin Chenran in front of him with a hint of seriousness on his face, and asked directly to the point. Lin Chenran smiled slightly and answered without hesitation, "Grandpa, this time we purchased the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine technology and production line. It cost a total of $61.5 million US, and then we gave Kavlovich $500,000 US privately." Grandpa Lin was immediately surprised after hearing this. His eyes widened, and an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. When Lin Chenran said that it would cost $50 million US to purchase this tank engine technology, he already felt that the cost was high, but still acceptable. However, now that he heard that the actual expenditure was a full $12 million higher than expected, he found it a little hard to accept. The $250 million just earned from the Saudi Arabia in the Camel region was directly spent on $62 million. This is too wasteful. Can money be spent like this? Grandpa, do you think spending $62 million is not worth it? Lin Chenran had just finished speaking, and Grandpa Lin nodded. He obviously felt that $62 million was too expensive. If Kavlovich and others hadn't coordinated in the middle, and your military had come directly to inquire about the price, the Ural Locomotive and Rolling Stock Plant Design Bureau might have quoted a price of $100 million to $150 million. Grandpa Lin looked at his grandson with disbelief. Hiss. Really? Lin Chenran nodded and responded. There are many tricks here. If the Yan army wanted to acquire the 760 horsepower, 4-stroke, V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine from the Uralvagonzava Design Bureau, it would be a massive loss. Impossible. Furthermore, the Uralvagonzava Design Bureau likely wouldn't sell it, even though Russia's tank engine technology was already relatively backward. From a national perspective, Russia certainly didn't want Yan to acquire such advanced tank engine technology. Lin Chenran secretly speculated that at least a third of the $62 million price tag would go to Kavlovich and his backers, while the Uralvagonzava Design Bureau might only receive a little over $40 million. However, Lin Chenran didn't care how these profits would be distributed. Even if the entire $62 million went to Kavlovich and his backers, it wouldn't matter to him. In fact, he would applaud it, as it would further solidify his relationship with them. Furthermore, greedy people are often more prone to cooperation and control. After listening to Lin Chenran's explanation, Grandpa Lin finally understood. It turned out that there were so many tricks involved. Then can our military purchases. Grandpa Lin also wanted Lin Chenran to act as an intermediary to purchase some equipment and technology. Grandpa, our relationship with Kavlovich hasn't reached that level yet, and we have just completed the cooperation on the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine. We need to stay out of the spotlight at this time, and not be noticed by the KGB agent organization of the Russian Bear, otherwise. Chapter 77, Small Caliber or Large Caliber Smoothbore Cannon. Lin Chenran fell into deep thought, carefully weighing the pros and cons. He knew very well that now was not the best time to accept this proposal. Being targeted by the KGB was no joke. Even if the 077 Mechanical Arsenal successfully signed a contract with the Ural Locomotive and Rolling Stock Plant Design Bureau, as long as they could find an excuse, such as selling out national interests, they could easily cut off the connection between the two factories. In this way, the Ural Locomotive and Rolling Stock Plant Design Bureau would not be able to provide the 077 Mechanical Arsenal with the technology and production line of the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine. For the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, this would undoubtedly bring huge losses. Therefore, Lin Chenran rejected Mr. Lin's proposal without hesitation. If you want to obtain the relevant technology and production lines from the Russians through Lin Chenran, you must wait until the 077 Mechanical Arsenal brings back all the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine technology and related production lines. Before that, Lin Chenran would naturally firmly reject any proposal that might affect the realization of this goal. Because only by ensuring that everything is foolproof can we ensure that the 077 Mechanical Arsenal will not be disturbed or suffer any losses. As the director of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, Lin Chenran must first ensure that his own factory is not affected. This is his top priority. After ensuring the interests of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, he will consider other matters. After listening to Lin Chenran's explanation, although there was a hint of regret on his face, he also expressed understanding. He was very pleased that Lin Chenran was able to stick to his principles and put the overall situation first. This 760 horsepower 4-stroke V-type 12-cylinder V46 diesel engine is not only related to the Apocalypse tank project of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, it is also related to the improvement of the tank engine technology level of the entire Yan country. Lin Chenran saw the loss on Mr. Lin's face, and his heart softened. He knew that the old man had devoted his life to the country, and his love and concern for the motherland were beyond words. So, he whispered to comfort him, "Grandpa, don't worry, I will go to the bear country again after our 077 mechanical arsenal successfully introduces the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine into the country. I will do my best to contribute to the development of the country." Hearing Lin Chenran's sincere words, Grandpa Lin's mood immediately improved a lot. There was a gleam of relief in his eyes, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, and he smiled happily. He praised Lin Chenran again and again. Lin Chenran scratched his head and smiled foolishly. Grandpa Lin turned to look at Lin Chenran. His eyes became serious and focused. "I heard that your 077 mechanical arsenal has signed a contract with the Ural Locomotive and Rolling Stock Plant Design Bureau. In this way, the technology of the tank engine is no longer a problem. Then when do you expect to be able to manufacture the Apocalypse tank?" His voice was a little anxious, as if he couldn't wait to see the birth of the Apocalypse tank covered with special basalt steel plates. Lin Chenran frowned slightly, knowing in his heart why Grandpa Lin was so anxious. In recent years, the border areas have been unstable, with small groups of enemies often crossing the border to harass, causing considerable trouble to Yan country. As a senior military official, Grandpa Lin is eager to have a powerful tank to deter those with ill intentions. "Grandpa, to be honest, it will take at least a year to complete the manufacture of the Apocalypse tank," Lin Chenran answered firmly. He knew what Grandpa Lin expected, but building an excellent tank is not something that can be done overnight. And the Apocalypse tank needs to go through various tests after it is manufactured. The most important thing is that Yan country does not have a 120mm smoothbore gun. The 212 mechanical arsenal still needs to work hard. It is impossible for the Yan country military's Apocalypse tank to be equipped with the Russian Bear's 125mm smoothbore gun. Grandpa Lin frowned slightly, with a hint of disappointment on his face. After a moment's silence, he asked, "Are there any difficulties?" Lin Chenran quickly explained, "Grandpa, although the Apocalypse tank is only a second-generation main battle tank, it incorporates a wealth of advanced technologies, so, especially the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine. Although we have signed a contract with the Ural Vagonzava Design Bureau, it will take some time to localize it and apply it to the Apocalypse tank. You should know that, even if you have all the information on a technology, there are still many challenges to overcome before it can be successfully produced. More importantly, the 120mm smoothbore gun project has just been relaunched. Can their 212th mechanical arsenal produce results so quickly?" Lin Chenran frowned. He understood the difficulty and complexity of this project, which would require extensive research and development and testing to succeed. As a powerful tank cannon, the 120mm smoothbore gun is extremely technologically advanced, requiring advanced manufacturing processes and materials science. Achieving mass production of the 120mm smoothbore gun in a short period of time is no easy task. Lin Chenran was unsure. He estimated that a year alone would be a stretch. Unless Lin Chenran possessed an efficiency pill similar to the one from Doraemon's world, one that could directly boost the efficiency of every engineer and worker. That way, he could simply speed things up. Within a year, all the equipment and facilities for the Apocalypse tank could be ready. Then, the Apocalypse tank could be assembled. Upon hearing this, Elder Lin's brow furrowed, his eyes becoming serious and heavy. He knew the situation was extremely unfavorable for the 077 machinery and military factory, but he also understood the difficulties faced by other military factories. It turned out that the real problem hindering progress wasn't the 077 machinery and military factory itself, but rather the lagging of other military factories. This situation left Elder Lin feeling frustrated and worried. The previous 212 machinery and military factory had already stalled due to funding issues. If it weren't for the national need to complete a second-generation main battle tank, they might still be at a standstill. Even with the project restarted thanks to national funding and the financial and technical support of the 077 machinery and military factory, the development pace remained slow. One of the important factors is that the 212 Mechanical Military Factory is trying to develop a 120mm smoothbore gun project. This is a completely new field for Yan country, and there is a lack of relevant technical accumulation. The research and development process is full of challenges and uncertainties, resulting in relatively slow overall progress. Unless the military does not equip the Apocalypse tank with a domestically produced 120mm smoothbore gun, but chooses a smaller caliber 115mm smoothbore gun, or purchases the 125mm smoothbore gun from the Russians. Lin Chenran directly gave the Yan country military two choices. Either a domestically produced small caliber or an imported large caliber. But no matter which one, there is a certainty. There is no way. Who made the military want to get 100 Apocalypse tanks to the hunting troops as soon as possible? Chapter 78. Not favored, but you are the most competitive. Hearing this, Mr. Lin's already frown deepened. He scratched his head vigorously, his face revealing an extremely conflicted expression. This is truly a dilemma. No matter which one is chosen, it seems that there will be some problems and troubles. If the large caliber 125mm smoothbore gun is chosen, although it is extremely powerful, it faces the dilemma of having to import it. In this way, not only will a large amount of money be spent on procurement, but there will also be the possibility that the Russian bear may take the opportunity to ask for an exorbitant price. If the relatively mature 115mm smoothbore gun is used, the senior military officials of Yan state are reluctant to accept it. After all, other major countries have generally adopted smoothbore guns of 120mm or above, or even 130mm. It would be unacceptable for Yan state to use 115mm smoothbore guns, both in terms of face and substance. It is even more unknown whether the 115mm smoothbore gun shells can penetrate the heavy armor of other countries' second-generation main battle tanks. Grandpa Lin's expression became increasingly ugly, and he shook his head helplessly. Zio Lindsay, neither of the two solutions you proposed can meet the needs of the military. He sighed deeply, and then continued, you have posed a big problem for us. Upon hearing this, Lin Chenran raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a bitter smile, and said, Grandpa, you are wronging me. He patted Grandpa Lin's shoulder gently and comforted him. It's not that I'm giving the military a problem, but that the country simply can't produce a 120mm smoothbore gun, and our 077 mechanical arsenal can't produce it. Grandpa Lin frowned, looked at Lin Chenran sharply, and said in a deep voice, Zio Lindsay, do you have any other solutions? Lin Chenran smiled bitterly, Grandpa, how do we solve this problem? To be able to develop the Apocalypse tank in 2 years, our 077 mechanical arsenal is already a first-class existence. Look at domestic and foreign countries. The research and development of that tank is so short. Even the current research and development progress of the Type 80 tank is far behind us. Lin Chenran shook his head and said, Old Master Lin sighed deeply. There was nothing he could do about it. The weapons and equipment in the hands of the Yan state military were outdated. A large number of third-tier military factories were in the shutdown stage, and some had even closed down. In this situation, being able to produce weapons and equipment was already very remarkable. Being able to produce advanced weapons and equipment was a first-class existence. Old Master Lin asked Lin Chenran to go back first. He then got in the military-branded red flag car and left the compound. He needed to go and talk about the Apocalypse tank. The top military officials of the Yan state secretly held a meeting to discuss the Apocalypse tank of the 077 mechanical military factory. Old Man Lin, why are you so anxious to call us to a meeting? Old Master Wei, the head of the equipment department of the Yan state military, was the first to break the deadlock. Well, Old Master Wei, can't you wait? Then Old Master Lin began to talk about his conversation with Lin Chenran and the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine at the meeting. The Yan nation's military suddenly became excited. While the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine technology might be considered outdated tank engine technology in Russia's hands, it was quite advanced in Yan nation's hands. Indeed, some Yan nation's military brass are now regretting their decision. They're wondering why they didn't choose the more powerful Apocalypse tank as the military's second generation main battle tank. Back then, at the bidding conference for the second generation main battle tank, the Apocalypse tank's design and development proposal was clearly far more advanced than that of the Type 80 tank. However, the military brass at the time simply considered the Apocalypse tank's engine limitations and the Type 80 tank's affordability and second generation status. So, without hesitation, they chose the Type 80 tank as a Yan Nation's second generation main battle tank. As for the Apocalypse tank, it was only purchased in small batches. Now, the tide has turned, and the Apocalypse tank's shortcomings have been addressed. The 077 Machinery and Military Factory invested $62 million to acquire the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 cylinder V46 diesel engine technology and the corresponding production line from the Uralvagonzova Design Bureau. This tank engine is significantly more advanced than the one used in the Type 80 tank. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that, as long as the Apocalypse tank continues to advance according to the original design and development plan, it will be successfully rolled off the production line in the near future. When others are underappreciated, you are the most determined, and that's exactly what the 077 Machinery and Military Factory is all about. Among the numerous third-tier military factories, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory is undoubtedly the most dazzling star. Not only has it successfully escaped the brink of bankruptcy and achieved a turnaround, but its unique spirit of innovation and superior technical strength have made it a benchmark among Yan's third-tier military factories. By cleverly modifying the Type 59 tank into a civilian engineering vehicle, it has made a name for itself in the fiercely competitive civilian engineering vehicle market. Their products, with their superior quality and performance, are highly favored by both domestic and international customers. The company has achieved tremendous success in foreign markets, dwarfing other civilian vehicle companies. Furthermore, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory has opened up a new trade route, Yan country Russia. This has directly expanded the factory's business scope and brought considerable economic benefits. Furthermore, at Yan country's second generation main battle tank tender, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory showcased a strikingly advanced main battle tank, the Apocalypse tank. The tank's outstanding performance earned unanimous praise from Yan country's military leaders, but due to deficiencies in its engine, it has not been purchased en masse by the Yan country military. Now, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory has taken another significant step forward, reaching a cooperation agreement with the Uralvagonzova Design Bureau. They have spared no expense, spending $62 million to acquire the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 diesel engine technology and the associated production line from the Uralvagonzova Design Bureau. Lin Chenran spent a few days in the imperial capital compound before stealthily departing. Song Xian has sent several telegrams and phone calls to Lin Chenran, asking him why he returned to Linjiang province. There are a lot of things in the factory that need to be solved by Lin Chenran. In addition, the first batch of 760 horsepower 4-stroke V-type 12-cylinder V46 diesel engine information has been sent to the 077 mechanical arsenal, and Lin Chenran needs to sign for it. This time, Lin Chenran did not take a car back, but chose a faster plane. After more than 3 hours of flight, Lin Chenran finally returned to Linjiang province. Song Xian received the news early in the morning and arranged for special personnel to go to the airport to greet his own factory director. At the same time, Mr. ZHU also set off from the 617 mechanical arsenal, and his destination was the 077 mechanical arsenal. Chapter 79. The initial R&D investment for the Type 80 tank was only $20 million. As soon as Lin Chenran stepped into the office of the 077 mechanical arsenal, Mr. ZHU followed him in impatiently. Mr. ZHU, you. Lin Chenran looked at Mr. ZHU in surprise. Mr. ZHU's face was full of fatigue, but his eyes revealed a hint of excitement and expectation. Chenran, did you really get a 760 horsepower 4-stroke V-type 12-cylinder V46 diesel engine? Mr. ZHU asked anxiously, his voice a little hoarse. Obviously he had just experienced a long journey. Lin Chenran was slightly stunned, and then he understood why Mr. ZHU came. It turned out that Mr. ZHU learned that the 077 mechanical arsenal had reached a cooperation with the Ural Locomotive and Rolling Stock Plant Design Bureau and spent $62 million to purchase the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V-type 12-cylinder V46 diesel engine. Technology and production line. Mr. ZHU hurried from the 617 mechanical arsenal, hoping that their Type 80 tanks could also use this advanced engine. Mr. ZHU, we have indeed successfully purchased this tank technology, Lin Chenran replied with a smile, his tone brimming with confidence. A flicker of surprise flashed in Mr. ZHU's eyes, and he quickly pressed, have you considered applying this technology to other tank models? For example, our Type 80 tank? Lin Chenran pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. Of course, we have. However, further research and improvements to the engine are needed to ensure its adaptability to different tank models. Mr. ZHU nodded with satisfaction, a gratified smile on his face. While this tank engine technology might be considered relatively backward in Russia's hands, it would be unparalleled in Yan China. Yan China currently lacks such powerful tank engine technology. The introduction of the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine directly filled this gap. In fact, Mr. ZHU was initially reluctant to come to the 077 Machinery and Military Factory. The 077 Machinery and Military Factory was a competitor of the 617 Machinery and Military Factory. The Apocalypse tank and the Type 80 tank were competing products, yet the Yan Chinese military chose the Type 80 over the Apocalypse tank. One important reason was the high price of the Apocalypse tank, but there was another key factor: the problem with the Apocalypse tank's engine. The engine problem has now been resolved. When the two tanks are compared side by side, it is found that the Type 80 tank is comparable to the Apocalypse tank in terms of firepower, but is far behind in all other aspects. Therefore, under the suggestion of the top management of the 617 mechanical arsenal, Mr. ZHU had no choice but to go to the 077 mechanical arsenal in Linjiang province to discuss with Lin Chenran whether the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine could be installed on the Type 80 tank. Mr. ZHU scratched his head in embarrassment. He knew that what he did was a bit unethical, but it was also a helpless move. Alas, Mr. ZHU sighed deeply, feeling very guilty. Lin Chenran saw Mr. ZHU's dilemma and waved his hand, saying nonchalantly, Mr. ZHU, it's okay. This is all for the country. I understand your difficulties, don't worry too much. Then, Lin Chenran joked, even if we build the Apocalypse tank, the military will have to split it up for multiple users, and they don't have the funds to purchase large quantities of our 077 Machinery and Military Factory's second-generation main battle tanks. The Type 80 tanks from your 617 Machinery and Military Factory fully meet the military's needs. There are many reasons for this. First, it's cheap. Second, its performance is quite good. And last but not least, it was blessed by Mr. ZHU. So, of course, the Yan state military was happy to purchase it. They didn't have a lot of military funds to support the development of more advanced weaponry, and their country had a vast territory to defend. Therefore, they chose the more cost-effective Type 80 tank as transitional equipment. Upon hearing this, Mr. ZHU blushed slightly. There was nothing he could do. After all, what Lin Chenran said was true. The 617 Machinery and Military Factory had indeed picked up a dead chicken. Seeing Mr. ZHU's reaction, Lin Chenran quickly covered his mouth and explained, Mr. ZHU, I didn't say anything, and you didn't hear anything. He began to completely deny what he had said before. Mr. ZHU directly interrupted Lin Chenran's antics. In fact, Mr. ZHU came to the 077 mechanical arsenal this time for two purposes. First, he wanted to ask Lin Chenran about the situation. Can the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V-type 12-cylinder V46 diesel engine be sold to the 617 mechanical arsenal and used in the Type 80 tank? The final result made Mr. ZHU very satisfied. Because Lin Chenran agreed to provide this powerful engine to the 617 mechanical arsenal to equip their Type 80 tanks. Mr. ZHU's second task was related to exporting arms overseas. In fact, not only the top management of the 617 mechanical arsenal, but also the third-tier military factories of the entire Yan country envied and longed for the successful arms sales of the 077 mechanical arsenal. Especially when it was learned that the 077 mechanical arsenal had reached a cooperation with the Saudi country in the Camel region. This envy became even stronger. Although the specific amount of the cooperation is still unclear, as soon as the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region is mentioned, people know that this cooperation must involve huge amounts of money. After all, the saying "I'm the richest man in the world with a piece of cloth on my head" is not just empty talk. Mr. ZHU, your 617 machinery and military factory is the top tank factory in the country. You should not be short of orders. Lin Chenran looked at Mr. ZHU and asked with a puzzled look. Although the military budget cuts of the Yan kingdom have led to a decline in armament orders, the 617 machinery and military factory, as a veteran tank factory in the Yan kingdom, should not be short of orders. After all, with Mr. ZHU's status and ability, it should be easy for him to win these orders. Thinking of this, Lin Chenran couldn't help but sigh. With Master ZHU here, everything's easy. Master ZHU, hearing Lin Chenran's words, shook his head, feeling both amused and embarrassed. He said, "Lin, you think so too?" Lin Chenran nodded and replied matter-of-factly, "That's true. There are only a few major tank manufacturers in China." He reasoned that large manufacturers have their advantages. With advanced technology, excellent design teams, and a strong reputation, most domestic tank orders would be monopolized by large companies like the 617th Machinery and Military Factory. However, Master ZHU suddenly laughed, a hearty and heroic laugh. He continued, "Lin, you should know that, even if the 617th Machinery and Military Factory wins a bid for the military's second-generation main battle tank, we will only receive an initial investment of 20 million yuan. With that, Master ZHU quietly observed Lin Chenran's reaction, a hint of a smile and anticipation flickering in his eyes. After hearing the news, Lin Chenran was shocked for a moment, his eyes widened, and he asked in disbelief, "What?" Lin Chenran raised his voice by 8 degrees and asked, "Only 20 million in the early stage?" His eyes were full of confusion and shock, looking at Mr. ZHU, not believing what the other party said. "US dollars or Yanbi?" Lin Chenran asked immediately, with a nervous expression on his face. If it is US dollars, it can be barely accepted, but if it is Yanbi, it is really too much. Although the Type 80 tank is not the top one among the second-generation main battle tanks, it is really hard to accept that only 20 million is given for research and development in the early stage. What do you think? Mr. ZHU asked directly. Chapter 80 Recommend Pakistan to 617 Machinery Arsenal. Lin Chenran was stunned upon hearing what Mr. ZHU said. How could such a price be possible? This was simply denying third-tier military factories a chance to survive. Developing a second-generation main battle tank for only 20 million yuan coins? This was ridiculous. If it were just the initial investment, perhaps it would be justifiable. Clearly, this 20 million was the Yan military's entire investment. They planned to use the funds to purchase the finished product after the Type 80 tank was successfully developed. This was undoubtedly a cost-saving strategy, but it placed immense pressure on the 617 Mechanical Armament Factory. The 617 Mechanical Armament Factory needed to raise its own funds to invest in the development and manufacture of the Type 80 tank. Faced with this predicament, Mr. ZHU felt helpless. After repeated overt and indirect suggestions from the higher-ups at the 617 Mechanical Armament Factory, Mr. ZHU came to the 077 Mechanical Armament Factory, hoping to get some advice or help from Lin Chenran, or perhaps to borrow funds from the 077 Mechanical Armament Factory. Mr. ZHU could still reluctantly ask for the former. As for the latter, Mr. ZHU didn't even have to think about it. Lin Chenran would definitely refuse. Borrowing money in this situation? It's impossible. No matter who comes, it's useless. Previously, the Yan state military was simply taking advantage of the exchange rate. They had the 077 Machinery and Military Factory convert the 50 million US dollars they had into Yan coins. Mr. ZHU, your 617 machinery and military factory can also find partners like our 077 machinery and military factory did to jointly develop the Type 80 tank. Brother, Pakistan is a good choice, Lin Chenran said, looking at Mr. ZHU seriously. Lin Chenran directly pointed out a clear path for Mr. ZHU, cooperation with Brother Pakistan. While Pakistan wouldn't be as generous as Saudi Arabia in the Camel region with its $250 million, it would at least be much better than the Yan state military's mere 20 million Yang coins. As long as they agreed to help them build a tank factory for the Type 80 tank in their country later, they would definitely be happy to cooperate. Lin Chenran believed that Pakistan would do its best to cooperate with the 617 machinery and military factory. He estimated that Pakistan could contribute between 30 and 50 million Yan coins. There could be more, and the 617th Machinery and Military Factory would need to negotiate with Pakistan. Advanced second-generation main battle tanks also hold immense appeal for Pakistan. Is this possible? Mr. ZHU was momentarily surprised upon hearing this. This was primarily because Pakistan had always been a relatively impoverished nation in Mr. ZHU's mind. Even poorer than Yan country. Could they afford to collaborate with the 617th Machinery and Military Factory on the development of the Type 80 tank? And would the Yan country military even agree to such an approach? Don't worry, Mr. ZHU. Pakistan may be poor, but if they can acquire second-generation main battle tanks, participate in their development, and later acquire a modern second-generation main battle tank factory, they'll be willing to part with their savings to partner with the 617th Machinery and Military Factory. Pakistan's longtime rival, the White Elephant, possesses a vast fleet of tanks and is eyeing them covetously. Pakistan undoubtedly hopes to intimidate them with a powerful second-generation main battle tank. Currently, the 617th Machinery and Military Factory has the best partner it can find in Pakistan. Other countries would likely struggle to connect. Okay, I'll go back and discuss your proposal with the senior management of the factory. Seeing Lin Chenran's serious face, Mr. ZHU immediately agreed. Then he hurriedly left Lin Chenran's office. He wanted to borrow the phone of 077 Mechanical Arsenal to explain the situation to the senior management of 617 Mechanical Arsenal. This kind of negotiation and cooperation matters did not require him to be present in person. At the same time, there was another knock on the door. Mr. ZHU, please come in. Lin Chenran thought that Mr. ZHU had forgotten something and returned again. Yeah. Mr. Song, it's you. I thought it was Mr. ZHU. Seeing this, Lin Chenran smiled brightly and led Song Zian to sit on the sofa. He also asked his assistant to make Song Zian a cup of hot tea. Chenran, I ran into Mr. ZHU who was in a hurry when I went out. He looked hurried. He greeted me briefly and said he had something urgent and then left. Song Zian asked in confusion. Oh. Mr. ZHU came to our 077 machinery arsenal for two reasons. Lin Chenran then recounted his recent conversation with Mr. ZHU. Song Zian suddenly understood. So he's here to get the Type 80 tanks at the 617 machinery arsenal equipped with the 760 horsepower, 4-stroke, V12 cylinder V46 diesel engines we painstakingly procured, and to get you to show them the way forward. Song Zian remained silent, his expression calm. Then he said slowly, Chenran, the 10 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engines we contracted with the Uralvagonzava Design Bureau have been delivered. We can use these 10 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engines to build a few test versions of the Apocalypse tank. Song Zian hadn't expected his factory director to be so fruitful from a single trip to Russia, reaching a partnership with the Uralvagonzava Design Bureau, and importing 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engines from their rival. No problem. You're the chief designer of the Apocalypse tank project, and everything will be done according to your ideas. If you need my support, just tell me and I'll cooperate. Lin Chenran was very humble, having already told Song Zian that he would be in charge of the Apocalypse tank project. Lin Chenran absolutely believed in Song Zian's ability. Song Zian was deeply moved. With such a factory director who dares to delegate power, he will not be restricted in doing things and can devote himself to the design and development of the Apocalypse tank. In particular, Lin Chenran solved the engine problem that had been plaguing the Apocalypse tank after a trip to Russia. This support is absolutely amazing. Although Lin Chenran always said that negotiating cooperation with the Uralvagonzova Design Bureau was very simple. Just sit down and sign the contract. But Song Xian knew that it was not simple. Lin Chenran, I really went to Nizhny Tagil, then sat down and signed a contract with the senior management of the Uralvagonzova Design Bureau, and then flew back. Mr. Song, I hope to speed up the development of the Apocalypse tank and shorten the time as much as possible. Lin Chenran said with a serious expression. Something happened? Song Xian looked up when he heard it. Well, as you know, due to the grim international situation, the superiors hope that our 077 mechanical military factory can develop the Apocalypse tank as soon as possible and then deploy it on the border to deter neighboring countries. There is no way. The Type 59 and Type 69 tanks in the hands of Yan State are already very backward and have no deterrent ability at all. So, the Yan State military wants the Apocalypse tank to carry the flag. Chenran, can the military purchase it on a large scale? Chapter 81 Steel Pipe Gas Tank. No. Lin Chenran replied with a wry smile. He knew the Apocalypse tanks were simply too expensive. Compared to the Type 80 tank, their cost was staggering. Compared to the Eagle Source's M1 tank, it pales in comparison. The Yan Kingdom's military was already stretched to the limit, and even the mere fact of purchasing 100 Apocalypse tanks was a huge stretch. How exactly would these 100 expensive tanks be deployed? Yan Kingdom was vast, with long borders and numerous foreign territories. To effectively cover such a vast territory, 100 Apocalypse tanks would undoubtedly be a drop in the bucket, like a drop of rain falling into the vast ocean, unable to exert any substantial impact. Song Xian breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the deterrent effect of these tanks far outweighs their practical significance. Displaying these 100 powerful Apocalypse tanks to the outside world would have a certain deterrent effect, demonstrating Yan Kingdom's military might to other countries, and making those who coveted Yan Kingdom warn them. 100 Apocalypse tanks have already cost the military a fortune. Unless military spending increases, the military will not purchase Apocalypse tanks in the short term. Lin Chenran changed his tone. Even if the military does not purchase on a large scale, we must manufacture the Apocalypse tanks as soon as possible. After all, our customers are not just the military, there are other countries as well. Indeed, even if the Yan State military does not purchase the Apocalypse tanks from the 077 mechanical arsenal, there are still many foreign customers waiting for them. Especially the Saudi state in the Camel region. They can't wait to get the Apocalypse tanks. Then show off their muscles to the outside world. Let some countries that are ready to make a move give up their unnecessary thoughts. In the Camel region, the endless plains are very suitable for tank driving. I know, we will give orders to speed up the research and development of the Apocalypse tank project. Upon hearing this, Song Xian instantly gave Lin Chenran a guarantee. Chenran, while you were in Russia, news arrived from the Camel region that the Damu Kingdom, Shadamu, wanted to obtain a batch of weapons and equipment from us. Song Xian's expression was calm, his tone even, but his heart wasn't as calm as it appeared. What? Damu Kingdom? They want weapons and equipment from us? Upon hearing this news, Lin Chenran couldn't help but wonder. Lin Chenran was somewhat surprised and puzzled. The Eagle Source had clearly stated that they could not provide weapons and equipment to the Damu Kingdom. Originally, Song Xian planned to have his staff directly reject the Damu Kingdom's request. They simply couldn't provide them with weapons and equipment. Even if they tried to do it covertly, it would be impossible. If discovered, the consequences would be disastrous. The Yan Kingdom would undoubtedly be in a very passive position. Then, the Yan Kingdom would be condemned by international public opinion. Faced with such a situation, the Yan Kingdom military would certainly not sit idly by, and would inevitably take action. They would use the tactic of killing the chicken to scare the monkey, and hold the 077 machinery arsenal responsible for this matter. And they would hold it accountable to the end. Later, Song Xian remembered what his factory director, Lin Chenran, had said, "Don't let any customer go." So, he decided to tell Lin Chenran about this and get his opinion. Song Xian asked his employees to make it clear with the representative of the Damu Kingdom in the Camel region that his factory director was on a business trip to Russia and that they would wait for his return before making a decision. Now that Lin Chenran had returned, Song Xian reported the situation directly. After a moment's thought, Lin Chenran felt that this deal could be done. Since weapons and equipment couldn't be provided, civilian supplies could be provided. Let's find out about water pipes and gas tanks. These are civilian supplies and are not on the restricted lists of countries like the United States. Chenran, you're not really going to provide weapons and equipment to the Damu Kingdom in the Camel region, are you? Song Xian asked worriedly, observing Lin Chenran's expression. Of course not, I just want to provide them with some civilian supplies, Lin Chenran explained mysteriously. Civilian supplies? The Damu Kingdom wants weapons and equipment. Song Xian was puzzled. How could civilian supplies be related to weapons and equipment? Mr. Song, you look anxious again. Lin Chenran looked at Song Xian helplessly and said, "Don't worry, let me explain it to you slowly." Lin Chenran smiled slightly, secretly proud in his heart. He knew that this was a good opportunity to make money. Song Xian looked at Lin Chenran in confusion, wondering what Lin Chenran was up to. Go ahead, I'll listen. Song Xian waved his hand, indicating that Lin Chenran should continue. Lin Chenran cleared his throat and said to Song Xian in a low voice, "I have a heavy mortar here that is very suitable for Damu country." After speaking, he blinked mysteriously. What? Heavy mortar? Song Xian widened his eyes, his face full of disbelief. Can it avoid the blockade? If not, no matter how powerful the weapons and equipment are, it will be useless. Song Xian frowned, and doubts arose in his heart. It is not an easy task to transport weapons into Damu country. Lin Chenran smiled and answered confidently, "Of course. We just need to make a few minor changes." Then, Lin Chenran picked up a piece of paper and a pen from the table and began to draw. That's right, he was drawing a simplified version of a heavy mortar. On the paper was a gas tank filled with high explosives, and a long steel pipe was used as the barrel. Song Xian looked at the object in front of him with a blank face and asked puzzledly, "Chenran, is this a heavy mortar?" He stared at the object that looked like a heavy mortar, but felt that something was wrong, and he couldn't put his finger on it. Song Xian became even more confused. He pressed on, "What material is it made of? I just can't figure it out." Lin Chenran continued, "While we can't supply Damu with military steel cannon barrels, we can use civilian steel pipes. And we have a large supply of this high-strength special civilian steel." Song Xian suddenly realized, "You're using the steel from various scrapped warships we imported from Russia?" He excitedly exclaimed, "So that's how it works. This way, Damu can use civilian steel pipes to lay water pipes, cleverly circumventing the blockade." Damu had purchased a large quantity of steel pipes from the 077 mechanical arsenal for the water pipes. If they were subsequently dug up and used for other purposes, it wouldn't be the 077 mechanical arsenal's responsibility. 077 mechanical arsenal, I only sold steel pipes and gas cylinders to Damu. I had no idea they would be used on the battlefield. So, they could simply distance themselves from the issue. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Negotiating Cooperation with Damu Country. Song Xian gave a thumbs up, his face lit with admiration as he exclaimed, "Excellent. Truly incredible." The 077 mechanical arsenal was fully capable of producing such a weapon. They also possessed high-strength civilian steel and the Formula 4 high explosives. This meant they could sell the Formula 4 high explosives and provide a continuous supply of special civilian steel pipes and gas cylinders to the Damu Kingdom. This would be a powerful weapon on the battlefield. For the Damu Kingdom, this simplified heavy mortar undoubtedly met their needs. It was easy to operate, inexpensive, and disposable after use, eliminating wasteful resources. At the same time, its immense power could deliver a devastating blow to the enemy. More importantly, its simple structure made it easy to conceal, making it difficult for other nations to detect it. This allowed the Damu Kingdom to secretly transport these mortars to its own army, thereby enhancing its combat effectiveness. Lin Chenran said to Song Xian, "Mr. Song, please have our staff in the Luochao region contact representatives from the Damu Kingdom and notify them to come to Yan Kingdom to discuss cooperation. I have other heavy weapons available to them." With such a rare opportunity to carry a passenger, Lin Chenran couldn't wait to see what he saw. He secretly rejoiced. "Hey, Damu Kingdom, just walk right into my trap." Song Xian agreed without hesitation. "Okay, I'll contact them." Then, curiously, Song Xian asked, "Chenran, besides these, do you have any other weapons and equipment?" He was filled with anticipation and curiosity. He couldn't help but admire Lin Chenran's incredibly quick thinking. He'd even come up with a heavy mortar combination using steel pipes and gas tanks. Hearing Song Xian's words, Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, revealing a mysterious smile. He smiled and replied, "Of course, we also have a mobile, simplified Katasha rocket launcher." "A mobile, simplified Katasha rocket launcher?" Song Xian's eyes lit up. Immediately, he asked eagerly, "Couldn't you use our steel pipes to make a simple launcher, then add an ignition device and a transport vehicle?" "Huh? Mr. Song, you really did it." Lin Chenran raised his hand and gave a thumbs up. "Ah." Song Xian was momentarily astonished. It could even be operated this way. Lin Chenran's imagination was truly unstoppable, one idea after another. Then, Lin Chenran patiently explained, "Actually, the mobile simplified Katasha rocket launcher is just these heavy mortars combined with some transport vehicles. Firepower is further enhanced. Several mobile simplified Katasha rocket launchers combined could even rival an entire artillery battalion." Advantages of the mobile simplified Katasha rocket launcher: fast, powerful, and stealthy. It's fast. It can quickly enter and deploy a battlefield, and its firing rate is also very high. Once it opens fire, it can inflict massive damage to the target in a short period of time. It also retreats quickly, firing and fleeing, leaving the enemy no chance to counterattack. It also boasts powerful firepower. Its firepower is astonishingly powerful. Several of these rocket launchers can unleash firepower comparable to that of an entire artillery battalion. This formidable firepower terrifies the enemy, who dare not approach easily. Its concealment is exceptional. Most astonishing of all is its stealth. Its movements are as elusive as a ghost, silent as a virgin, swift as a rabbit. It can always strike when the enemy is least prepared, delivering a devastating blow. When Lin Chenran described these advantages, Song Xian's eyes widened, their gaze gleaming with excitement, as if he saw endless possibilities. "This," Song Xian muttered to himself, his voice trembling with disbelief. "Tekula." Then Song Xian left Lin Chenran's office with a beaming smile, ignoring Lin Chenran's calls from behind. He had no choice but to stay and help him process a mountain of paperwork. Song Xian wasn't that foolish. If Lin Chenran hadn't returned before, he could have helped with the pile of paperwork. Now that he was back, of course he had to hand it over. Who likes dealing with paperwork? And mountains of it, at that. Song Xian quickly slipped away, lest Lin Chenran be forced to conscript him. Lin Chenran gazed at the mountain of paperwork, his head in his hands in distress. He roared, "I'm only on a business trip for a month, and there's so much paperwork to deal with." Ah. Lin Chenran felt like he was about to collapse. These files felt like an insurmountable mountain, weighing him down, making him breathless. "Oh, what a miserable life. I have to deal with all this paperwork." Right after returning from my trip, Lin Chenran began to complain. Suddenly, his assistant walked in with a pile of documents. "Director, these are what Mr. Song sent me. He said since you're back, you should handle these documents." Lin Chenran's assistant, Xiao Liang, trailed off. "Huh? More?" Lin Chenran was also startled. How could there be so much? He was going to die. Ah. Meanwhile, after Song Xian had contacted the employees far away in the Camel area and explained the situation, he could vaguely hear Lin Chenran's roaring. Song Xian smiled faintly. Ah. Finally, some time to relax. Off. Upon receiving Song Xian's notification, the staff of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, located in the Damu Kingdom of the Camel region, set off without delay. He had an important mission, to notify representatives from the Damu Kingdom of the Camel region, to visit the 077 Mechanical Arsenal headquarters in Yan country, to discuss cooperation with their leaders. 3 days passed quickly, and Daniel Harper, a representative from the Damu Kingdom of the Camel region, arrived in Yan country, accompanied by the 077 Mechanical Arsenal staff. After a long journey and tedious paperwork, they finally arrived at their destination. Daniel Harper arrived at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal headquarters. To his surprise, the factory director, Lin Chenran, personally came to greet him at the building. Daniel Harper felt deeply honored and excited about future cooperation. "Welcome, Mr. Daniel Harper, to Yan country." Lin Chenran, with a broad smile on his face, stepped forward to greet Daniel Harper warmly. His eyes were filled with sincerity and anticipation. He extended his right hand without hesitation, expressing friendship and respect to Daniel Harper. Daniel Harper smiled and responded, "Thank you, Director Lin, for your hospitality. I really didn't expect you to come here in person to greet me. I'm truly honored." There was a hint of surprise in his voice, but more of it was gratitude towards Lin Chenran. He hadn't expected to receive such treatment in a foreign country. He then extended his own hand and shook Lin Chenran's tightly, expressing the importance he attached to this meeting. Chapter 83, Airtight Blockade? Easy to take down. Lin Chenran enthusiastically guided Daniel Harper into the 077 Mechanical Arsenal building and brought him to the conference room. This man, the legendary financial backer, naturally deserved a warm welcome. After everyone sat down in the conference room, before even a few pleasantries had time to exchange, Daniel Harper eagerly asked, "Lin, I heard your factory can provide us with a heavy mortar and a mobile, simplified Katasha rocket launcher. Is that true?" Since Damu country was in urgent need of weaponry, Daniel Harper couldn't afford to dwell on other matters and simply asked directly. Seeing this, Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, revealing a faint smile. "Daniel Harper, you're getting anxious again. Don't worry. Please listen to me." Seeing the other party's eagerness, Lin Chenran secretly rejoiced, believing that this deal was likely to be successful. "You speak, I listen." Daniel Harper's anxious expression remained unwavering. "We at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal do have a heavy mortar and a mobile, simplified Katasha rocket launcher, and we can deliver them to your military through the blockade. Not only that, we can also deliver them in large quantities to your Damu country." Lin Chenran spoke calmly, his eyes filled with confidence and determination. He stared directly at Daniel Harper, trying to gauge his reaction. "Really?" Daniel Harper's eyes widened in astonishment. While the former could be delivered to Damu country covertly, the quantities were limited. As for the latter, Lin Chenran actually dared to claim large-scale delivery. How could this not surprise Daniel Harper? Of course, but Lin Chenran paused deliberately, then said hesitantly, "The price might be a bit high." Daniel Harper's words suddenly became incoherent. "Price isn't an issue. As long as the weapons and equipment are suitable and can be delivered to our country on a large scale." Although Damu country was still at war, their greatest need right now was weapons and equipment. Even though the funds at hand are limited, in order to win the war, they must fight to the end, even if they have to borrow money. The Damu kingdom also has important strategic materials, oil. As long as the country is stable, they can start to dig for oil. Here are the design drawings of our two weapons. One is a heavy mortar, and the other is a mobile simplified version of the Katasha rocket launcher. Since Daniel Harper thinks the price is not a problem, then it's easy to talk about it. Lin Chenran directly brought out the hard goods for the other party to take a look. This. Daniel Harper looked at and browsed, and in an instant his brows furrowed. "Is this a heavy mortar? Is this a mobile simplified version of the Katasha rocket launcher? It's too simple. Lin, this." Daniel Harper couldn't help but doubt, can this really work? Daniel Harper's face gradually became ugly, and he began to wonder if Lin Chenran was deliberately teasing him. He was about to get up and leave. Seeing this, Lin Chenran stopped him immediately. "Daniel Harper, my friend, don't worry. I know what you're thinking, but please allow me to introduce two pieces of equipment from our 077 Mechanical Arsenal. If they don't suit you, you can leave later." Lin Chenran's tone was firm and sincere, making it impossible to refuse. Daniel Harper hesitated for a moment, but was eventually persuaded to give up, mainly because Dami country was in dire need of weapons and equipment. Lin, my time is limited. My country needs me now. I can't stay here for too long listening to you introduce useless weapons and equipment. Daniel Harper emphasized the word useless weapons and equipment to express his dissatisfaction. Daniel Harper, the barrel of this heavy mortar is made of the latest steel material developed by our 077 mechanical arsenal. Steel recycled from decommissioned Russian warships. This steel contains various special metals, and its strength is no less than that of military steel. You're so shameless. He directly announced that this was their latest special steel. Song Xian, standing nearby, twitched involuntarily upon hearing this, and he suppressed a smile. He felt utterly miserable. We've also cleverly disguised the barrels, resembling ordinary steel pipes. You can then advertise these pipes as being for civilian water supply projects, thus easily circumventing the blockade imposed by Western countries, led by the United States. Import the steel pipes, perform some simple modifications, and processing in Dami country, and transform them into barrels for powerful heavy mortars. This plan was both clever and practical, and it was truly eye-catching. Daniel Harper's eyes lit up with excitement upon hearing this. He couldn't help but exclaim, "This is simply brilliant." Lin Chenran's plan had found a loophole in the Western blockade, leaving them with no recourse. Civilian goods weren't covered by the blockade. The 077 mechanical arsenal wouldn't have to bear any responsibility or risk. Selling ordinary steel pipes wasn't illegal, and this undoubtedly presented them with a golden opportunity. The most important question now was whether the special civilian steel produced by the 077 mechanical arsenal could truly rival military steel. Although both were steel, there were significant differences between them, particularly in terms of strength. Lin Chenran noticed a mixture of embarrassment and excitement on Daniel Harper's face, and he secretly rejoiced, knowing that he was clearly captivated. He spoke confidently, "Daniel Harper, rest assured. The special civilian steel produced by our 077 mechanical arsenal, while primarily used in civilian applications, is in every way comparable to military steel." To further allay his concerns, Lin Chenran added, "After the meeting, I will personally take you on a site visit, so you can experience firsthand the exceptional quality of our product. Words alone are not enough, only seeing it in person can bring assurance." The more Daniel Harper looked at this heavy mortar, the more he liked it. It could be imported into the country on a large scale, and in a legitimate way. Daniel Harper thought of a sentence from an old man in Yan country, "It doesn't matter if the cat is black or white, as long as it can catch mice, it is a good cat." Damu country is now in short supply of weapons and equipment, especially heavy weapons and equipment. The heavy weapons and equipment provided by the 077 mechanical arsenal are very much in line with the needs of his country. "Lin, when are we going to test this heavy mortar? I can't wait any longer," Daniel Harper said lightly, looking at Lin Chenran in front of him with a smile. "Wait a minute, I still need to introduce its shells. Also, I will send it to you later." Chapter 84, Inspecting the goods for the representatives of Dami country. Daniel Harper looked at the artillery shell design, his mouth slightly tilted, a hint of disdain on his face. This shell looks really unique." For a moment, he couldn't even find the right words to describe it. It was truly bizarre. It looked nothing like a traditional artillery shell, more like a giant gas tank. Its peculiar shape made Daniel Harper doubt whether it could actually be used as a shell. Recalling that its barrel was also made of steel pipe, Daniel Harper reluctantly accepted this gas tank shell. Daniel Harper, despite its strange appearance, the destructive power of this shell is no less than that of other conventional shells, Lin Chenran explained. "We actually designed it specifically to break through the blockades of various countries." Then, pointing to the shape of the shell on the blueprint, he said, "Look, doesn't it resemble a gas tank?" Daniel Harper's face lit up with a bright smile. 077 mechanical arsenal was truly thoughtful. In order to break through the blockade, the shells were specially made to look like gas tanks. Who would have thought of gas tank shells? What a good intention. "Lin, I have another question. That is, how can shells loaded with high explosives pass the blockade of countries headed by the United States?" Even if it is loaded inside the shells, it will be discovered. Daniel Harper raised his doubts. Then, Lin Chenran's answer directly shocked Daniel Harper. I have no intention of loading high explosives into this special shell. I will make them separately, and then you can load them in by yourselves. Daniel Harper, what? We load them in by ourselves? I have a formula for high explosives here. It is 10% more powerful than the existing ones. The most important thing is that its materials are what we can see in daily life. Lin Chenran's words were like charming voices, constantly attracting Daniel Harper's attention. His exact words were, I have the formula, and the ingredients are common, but you'll need to pay to purchase it. Daniel Harper instantly understood. Lin, as long as it's powerful, we'll buy the formula. Lin Chenran's lips curled up, revealing a teachable look. While the Damu Kingdom's capital couldn't match the Saudi Kingdom's, its generosity was no less impressive. $15 million, and you can have this powerful high explosive formula. Lin Chenran extended his hand, first holding out his index finger, then spreading out all 5 fingers, and directly quoted the price. What? $15 million? Daniel Harper's eyes widened, staring at Lin Chenran in shock. The price was simply too high, far beyond his expectations. Are you right, or did I hear correctly? You want $15 million for this high explosive formula? Daniel Harper asked again. Can the price be lower? Lin Chenran remained unmoved, his confident smile still on his face. He knew the formula in his possession was priceless, and it was his bargaining chip with Daniel Harper. Daniel Harper was silent for a moment, weighing the pros and cons. He knew full well that this high explosive formula was of vital importance to the Damu Kingdom. Without it, these 2 weapons and equipment would be like 2 firewood sticks, unable to unleash their full potential. Okay, Lin, I agree to pay $15 million for your formula. But I expect you to guarantee its authenticity and effectiveness, Daniel Harper said solemnly. Lin Chenran smiled slyly at this. The effectiveness is guaranteed. We'll test it at the test site later, and you'll see how powerful it is. I guarantee it's worth the money. Then, Lin Chenran suggested that they first demonstrate the effectiveness of the 2 weapons and equipment designed and developed by the 077 mechanical arsenal before discussing cooperation. This would at least allow Daniel Harper to test the goods. Otherwise, why would he willingly spend money to purchase the 2 weapons and equipment from the 077 mechanical arsenal? Upon hearing this, Daniel Harper, excited to witness the 2 weapons and equipment firsthand, as well as the power of the shells produced by the high explosive formula, immediately urged Lin Chenran to hurry to the test site. Lin Chenran then led everyone to the test site. 2 weapons and equipment designed and developed by the 077 mechanical arsenal, suitable for use by the Camel region's Damu nation, were already ready at the test site. Lin Chenran then gave a detailed introduction to the 2 weapons and equipment from his own 077 mechanical arsenal to Daniel Harper and other representatives from the Camel region's Damu nation. Daniel Harper gazed at the 2 somewhat crude weapons and equipment before him, but he didn't show any disdain. On the contrary, his eyes gleamed with admiration. For the Damu nation, as long as the weapons were powerful enough, no matter how simple they looked, they would still be considered sacred artifacts. Especially when he saw the heavy mortar in person, he couldn't help but exclaim, "It's a heavy mortar indeed. The caliber is incredibly large. Oh my god. Oh my god." Just now, in the conference room, when Daniel Harper first saw the blueprints, he hadn't fully grasped the massive caliber of this heavy mortar. Seeing it in person now, the sheer size of the mortar astounded him, and the air seemed filled with a suffocating aura of murder. This, so cool. Lin Chenran then introduced it. One of these heavy mortars has the power equivalent to 4,000 hand grenades. One shot, and a house is instantly destroyed. While the weaponry was rudimentary, its power was truly formidable. What? The power of 4,000 hand grenades? Daniel Harper and the other representatives from the Great Wood Nation were momentarily astonished. They were even more impressed by this heavy mortar. The Great Wood Nation was in dire need of this type of heavy weapon. Lin, can we? Daniel Harper wanted to see the power of the heavy mortar of the 077 mechanical arsenal. Daniel Harper, do you want to see the test of the heavy mortar of our 077 mechanical arsenal? Lin Chenran smiled slightly. The representative of the damn country in the camel area nodded repeatedly. They really wanted to see the power of this heavy mortar. No problem, I'll let the testers start preparing. Lin Chenran readily agreed. If you want the representatives of damn country to purchase weapons and equipment from the 077 mechanical arsenal, you must inspect the goods for others to see the power of their own weapons and equipment. Then Lin Chenran signaled his own testers to prepare. The second update is here. There may be a third update. Be patient. Chapter 85. You can never escape the law of true fragrance. The 077 mechanical arsenal were fully prepared, anxiously awaiting the upcoming test. While this heavy mortar might appear crude, its power was truly astonishing. Its immense power made the traditional striker-activated firing method inappropriate. Instead, it was fuse-activated. This design was relatively stable, unlike some previous steel mortars. After the tester at the test site completed the installation, he asked Lin Chenran if he wanted to fire. Lin Chenran gave the order without hesitation. With that command, the tester quickly activated the heavy mortar's fuse. Instantly, a deafening roar echoed, as if the entire world had frozen. Boom. Along with the roar, a violent explosion erupted around the heavy mortar. A shell shot out like lightning, hurtling towards the target with immense force and speed. Soon, a series of explosions echoed. Boom. A violent blast erupted around the target, instantly sending flames soaring into the sky and billowing smoke. The immense force of the impact made the surrounding air seem incandescent, a sensation that shook the air. This hiss. At that moment, everyone's eyes widened in awe at the sheer force of the shell. The executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal, as well as the representatives of the Damu nation in the Camel region, gasped. The heavy mortar's power was truly immense. Lin Chenran's earlier claim that a single shell had the force of 4,000 hand grenades hadn't impressed anyone. The sheer force of the explosion now stunned everyone, leaving a deep impression. Lin Chenran's face flickered with a faint smile as he inquired, Daniel Harper, the shells fired from our 077 mechanical arsenal's heavy mortars are quite powerful, aren't they? Of course they were. They were practically unbeatable. Daniel Harper's initial expression of disdain turned to a gleaming smile. Earlier, Daniel Harper said, even if I, Daniel Harper, couldn't find a suitable weapon, I wouldn't choose your 077 mechanical arsenal's crude heavy mortar. Upon seeing the heavy mortar, Daniel Harper exclaimed, wow. Daniel Harper was thrilled. Lin, this is incredibly powerful. He raised both hands, giving a thumbs up, and fervently praised the 077 mechanical arsenal's heavy mortar. Moments later, the smoke around the bullseye dissipated, revealing the aftermath of the explosion. A massive crater had been blasted into the ground around the bullseye. The original bullseye had vanished without a trace, destroyed by the heavy mortar shell. The power was several times greater than expected. This power immediately made the representatives of the Camel region's Damu nation salivate, their hearts racing to get the 077 mechanical arsenal's heavy mortar back home. Lin Chenran suddenly interjected, this shell uses a high explosive formula from our 077 mechanical arsenal, so its power is much stronger. If it were ordinary high explosives, it might not be that powerful, but of course it's about the same as the explosion of 3,500 hand grenades. At Lin Chenran's signal, the tester fired another shell. The explosive power of the shell was much less than the previous one. Although the target was destroyed, and a deep crater was created around it, the power was still much stronger than the first time. At this time, the representatives of the Damu country in the Camel region had a vague idea of the power generated by the explosion of 3,500 and 4,000 hand grenades. Sure enough, Lin Chenran had a reason for pricing this high explosive formula at $15 million. This power is amazing. Traditional high explosives may not be able to break through the blockade of countries led by the United States, but Lin Chenran can make his high explosive formula do so. It's worth $15 million, and now it's much more powerful than traditional high explosives. Worth it. Super worth it. Then, the mobile simplified Katasha rocket launcher took the stage for its performance. At Lin Chenran's signal, the personnel at the test site began to drive the mobile simplified Katasha rocket launcher onto the pre-installed test site. Daniel Harper, this is going to be a feast for the eyes. Are you ready? Lin Chenran promoted this mobile simplified Katasha rocket launcher. The mobile simplified Katasha rocket launcher is more expensive to produce, and most importantly, it consumes more ammunition. Being able to fire a whole truckload of ammunition in an instant, its power is truly incredible. A few mobile simplified Katasha rocket launchers can temporarily form an artillery battalion, but it does consume a lot of ammunition. By then, the Camel region's dummy country will surely continue to purchase gas tank ammunition. This is a continuous flow of orders. It will directly boost the 077 mechanical arsenal. Daniel Harper's excitement welled up at his words. Lin, I can't wait to see the feast you described. Lin Chenran turned to Daniel Harper and smiled. No problem, please watch carefully. Immediately, at the commander's command, the tester in the cab of the mobile Katasha rocket launcher pressed the fire button. The shells on the launcher were like sharp blades unsheathed, trailing long, blazing flames as they shot out. Swish, swish, swish. In less than a minute, the mobile Katasha rocket launcher's ammunition supply was empty. Simultaneously, a violent explosion erupted at the target site, instantly filling the area with billowing smoke and scattering sand and rocks. Boom, boom boom, boom boom, boom. The sound of explosions echoed throughout the test site. The shock of the explosions brought a different look to the faces of those present. The top executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal were filled with excitement. With such power, they were not afraid that the representatives of the dummy country in the Camel region would look down on them. This was another weapon and equipment that they had sold. The representatives of the dummy country in the Camel region were shocked. They had finally found this sharp weapon on the battlefield. Daniel Harper, this is quite powerful, isn't it? Lin Chenran once again mentioned the power of the mobile simplified version of the Katasha rocket launcher. Daniel Harper was extremely excited. Lin, come on, there's an old saying in your Yan country, you can't judge a person by his appearance, and you can't measure the depth of the sea by a bucket. If you hadn't tried your best to stop me just now, I wouldn't have been able to introduce such powerful weapons and equipment for our country. Thank you, Lin. Daniel Harper expressed his gratitude. Chapter 86 Mao Zedong, blame me. Daniel Harper, you don't have to be so polite. We are partners. Actually, I want to thank you for choosing the weapons and equipment from our 077 mechanical arsenal. Lin Chenran smiled and waved his hand, nonchalantly speaking. Yes, we are partners, Lin, you're absolutely right. Daniel Harper excitedly shook Lin Chenran's hand, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Now that Daniel Harper and the other representatives from the Camel region's Greatwood Nation had completed their inspection of the weapons and equipment, and were very satisfied with the two weapons and equipment from the 077 mechanical arsenal, they could return to the conference room to continue negotiations. When everyone returned to the conference room, smiles appeared on their faces to varying degrees, clearly full of confidence in the future cooperation. The executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal, in particular, felt as if they saw a pile of money flying towards them. After everyone sat down, Daniel Harper spoke impatiently. Lin, our Camel region's Damu nation has decided to purchase a Formula 4 high explosives worth $15 million. His tone was firm and decisive, demonstrating their desire for the formula. He was also afraid that Lin Chenran would suddenly raise the price. This Formula 4 high explosives was even more powerful than the ordinary ones on the market. $15 million. A great value. Daniel Harper, you're getting anxious again. Lin Chenran raised his hand to signal Daniel Harper not to rush and to take his time. He thought to himself, before, you ignored me, didn't want it. But after watching the test of the two weapons and equipment, you can't wait to get the formula from me. So I'm definitely going to make you anxious. Lin, could it be? Daniel Harper thought Lin Chenran was going to raise the price suddenly, and his face showed displeasure. Seeing this, Lin Chenran quickly explained, No, Daniel Harper, you misunderstood. I have no intention of raising the price at short notice. Since the price for the high explosive formula has been set from the beginning, we will definitely sell it at that price. Our 077 mechanical arsenal is a trustworthy factory, and our cooperation will continue. This isn't a one-time deal. Furthermore, the contract hasn't been signed yet. If the Camel region's Damu nation reneges, everyone could end up breaking up. The cooked duck just flew away. Daniel Harper, feeling ashamed at having misunderstood Lin Chenran, immediately smiled and greeted him. Yes, we have many more future collaborations. As long as there's no price increase, everything is fine. After reassuring Daniel Harper, Lin Chenran slowly said, the high explosive formula has been set for $15 million. We can just sign the contract when the time comes. Upon hearing this, Daniel Harper excitedly stood up and walked over to hug Lin Chenran. Ah. Daniel Harper, you're so enthusiastic. You don't have to be like that. Lin Chenran couldn't stand it. What was going on? Lin, thank you so much. Daniel Harper had encountered this situation before during negotiations. It's like wanting to buy weapons and equipment, but then someone else directly raises the price, acting as if it's up to you to buy or not, and they're all set to take advantage. Daniel Harper, what are you looking at? They are definitely talking about you. Russian bear. That's how the Russian bear behaves in the international arms market. It's up to you to buy or not. If you don't want to, I have plenty of customers anyway. Immediately, the two sides began discussing the price of the two weapons and equipment, as well as the price of the artillery shells. As soon as the topic of price came up, tension filled the conference room. Tensions quickly mounted, and the relaxed atmosphere vanished. This was no small matter, it involved future interests, so they had to fight for every inch of territory. Representatives from both sides wore serious expressions, their brows furrowed, their eyes revealing a resolute and decisive look. They seemed fully prepared for this intense negotiation. In the days that followed, the two sides engaged in a grueling bargaining battle. They needed to weigh the pros and cons, finding a balance that would satisfy their respective needs while ensuring smooth cooperation. They couldn't let the negotiations falter, yet they also had to secure the greatest possible benefits. After 2 hours of intense discussion, the prices for the two weapons and ammunition were finally agreed upon. This time, the Damu Kingdom in the Luocho region placed a massive $120 million order with the 077 mechanical arsenal. Heavy mortars perfectly met Damu Kingdom's needs. By comparison, the mobile, simplified Katyusha rocket launcher, while offering more powerful firepower, was hesitant due to its high price. However, they decided to initially purchase 2 regiments of Katyusha rocket launchers from the 077 mechanical arsenal. If the weapon proved effective, they would consider placing additional orders. Damu Kingdom's largest purchase was still heavy mortars. These weapons, which can be quickly transported to and from the battlefield by mules, horses, or trucks, offer high mobility. In addition, the Great Wood Kingdom directly ordered $65 million worth of artillery shells and indicated future orders for additional supplies. Daniel Harper, it's a pleasure working with you. Lin, it's a pleasure working with you. Lin Chenran smiled and shook hands with Daniel Harper. Then, the two parties signed a contract, formalizing the partnership. Daniel Harper, the first batch of weapons and equipment will be loaded onto the cargo ship within a week. Please be sure to receive them then. This shipment includes approximately 150 heavy mortars, their associated ammunition, and a battalion of mobile, simplified Katyusha rocket launchers. Also, we'll have the materials for the high explosives formula ready in advance. Once you've transferred the payment, we'll immediately dispatch someone to load these materials onto a truck and deliver them to the dock for shipment. Lin Chenran responded with remarkable professionalism and efficiency. After signing the contract, Lin Chenran immediately began arranging the delivery. His swiftness and efficiency amazed the Great Wood Kingdom representatives present in the Camel region. This is what's known as Yan Nation speed. Daniel Harper and other representatives from the Camel region's Wood country were very pleased with the 077 mechanical arsenal's actions. In contrast, the Russians were directly dragged out by the Camel region's Wood country representatives for a scourge. The Russians' arms sales were always delayed, appearing less than generous. This contrast gave the Wood country representatives confidence in their cooperation with the Yan country. For the Wood country in the Camel region, time is of the essence. The delivery of large quantities of heavy weaponry and equipment to the battlefield could help them turn the tide. After seeing off the Wood country representatives, Assistant Zhao Liang arrived to report a call from the military. Chapter 87 No one can save you, I said. Lin Chenran was stunned for a moment. He rubbed his head in bewilderment, muttering to himself, what's going on? Exposed? Could it be another call from Elder Wei, saying, Happy New Year? The thought of this made him feel helpless and irritated. After all, every time the military called, nothing good ever happened. He knew he couldn't ignore the call, because if he didn't, they'd probably come straight to the 077 mechanical arsenal, which would only cause more trouble. Just then, Song Xian leaned over and whispered to Lin Chenran, Chenran, could it be that the military has learned of our partnership with the Damu Nation in the Luochao region? Hearing this, Lin Chenran frowned, a trace of doubt in his heart. Logically, the Yan Nation military shouldn't have known about the partnership between their 077 mechanical arsenal and the Damu Nation in the Luochao region so quickly. They'd just signed the contract and sent the Damu Nation representatives away, and right after, the military called to inquire about it? It was truly bizarre. Lin Chenran sighed deeply. He thought, if I stick my head out, I'll get a knife. If I hide my head, I'll get a knife. I'm going to die anyway. I might as well answer the phone. So, he stood up, left the meeting room, and walked towards his office. Song Xian followed closely behind him. He also wanted to know why the Yan Kingdom military called. Lin Chenran came to the office, picked up the phone on the desk, and dialed back. Beep, beep. Lin Chenran was feeling uneasy at this moment. He didn't know why Elder Wei called him suddenly, and in such an urgent matter. He thought to himself, it's probably about the affairs of the Damu Kingdom. After a while, the call was connected. Hello? Is that Lin Kid? A strong voice came from the other end of the phone, as if one could feel the other party's majesty and aura through the phone. Elder Wei, what are you looking for me so urgently? Lin Chenran asked in a calm tone. Although he was a little nervous, he tried to remain calm. Elder Wei was his grandfather's comrade in arms and a senior whom he had always admired. Lin, I heard you met with people from the Damu Nation in the Luochao region. Elder Wei asked bluntly, his voice dripping with seriousness and concern. Lin Chenran's heart tightened, and he thought, as expected. He took a deep breath, then answered truthfully, yes, we did meet with them. What did you discuss? Was it about the sale of weapons and equipment? I'm warning you, no weapons and equipment are allowed to be sold to the Damu Nation. The weapons and equipment from your 077 mechanical arsenal cannot be exported. They've been blockaded by a number of countries. Weapons sold to them cannot enter the Luochao region, let alone reach them. Elder Wen's tone was stern, but Lin Chenran understood that it was more of a concern and care. Elder Wen was deeply worried that Lin Chenran would accidentally fall into a trap set by the Damu Nation, signing a contract and secretly providing them with weapons and equipment. He absolutely did not want a rising star to fall like this, and he was even more reluctant to see the grandson of his old comrade make a mistake. Mr. Wei, how did you know that our 077 mechanical arsenal was discussing cooperation with representatives from the Damu Kingdom? Lin Chenran asked without hesitation. How could I not know? The plane carrying Daniel Harper from the Damu Kingdom had just landed, and our military immediately received the news. Do you think our intelligence system is just for show? Mr. Wei asked bluntly. Although Yan Kingdom's intelligence system wasn't as renowned as Russia's KGB, they were always up to date on everything happening in Yan Kingdom. Mr. Wei, I didn't say that. Lin Chenran quickly waved his hands in denial. He silently prayed that some powerful figure wouldn't come looking for trouble with him. Hearing Lin Chenran's panicked tone, Mr. Wei burst into laughter. You kid, you get scared one day too. Lin Chenran immediately admitted his mistake. Mr. Wei, you can't trick me. I'm really panicking and scared right now. He took a deep breath and tried to calm himself. Panic? Elder Wei raised an eyebrow and asked, were you panicked and afraid when you were negotiating cooperation with the Damu Kingdom? His tone was a mixture of teasing and reproach. You're incredibly audacious to cooperate with them. You're willing to take any money, Elder Wei criticized sternly. Huh? Elder Wei, is that who I'm in your eyes? Willing to take any money? Lin Chenran asked aggrievedly. Yes, there's nothing you, Lin Chenran, wouldn't dare do. How far have the negotiations progressed? If the contract hasn't been signed yet, then politely reject Daniel Harper from the Damu Kingdom. Say you've been told by your superiors that you can't provide them with weapons and equipment. Remember, be firm in your attitude and tactful in your language. Do you understand? Elder Wei patiently explained to Lin Chenran, trying to offer him a solution. However, Lin Chenran hesitated on the other end of the line. This slight hesitation didn't escape Elder Wei's notice. He immediately realized that things might be more complicated than he had imagined. Lin Chenran, you haven't already signed an arms sales contract with Damn Country, have you? Old Wei's voice became serious and tense. Lin Chenran hesitated, then answered honestly, yes, I have already signed the contract. Hearing this, Old Wei felt a wave of despair. He roared angrily, you're playing with fire. You know what? Even your grandfather Old Lin can't save you, I'm telling you. This is really a disaster. Old Wei muttered to himself. Then, Old Wei roared, giving Lin Chenran a death order. Go and explain everything to Daniel Harper right now. Even if you have to pay a portion of the liquidated damages, you must cancel the deal. Otherwise. Lin Chenran smiled bitterly, feeling that Old Wei had misunderstood him, misunderstanding that he had signed an arms sales contract with Damn Country. Mr. Wei, don't be impatient. Just listen to me first. Lin Chenran was about to continue when he was interrupted by Mr. Wei. I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen. You must terminate the contract with Daniel Harper immediately. Otherwise, you will be in big trouble. If I wasn't at the 077 mechanical arsenal, I would have given you a hard time. Lin Chenran explained directly, Mr. Wei, we signed a contract with Damn Country, but it was not a military sales contract, but other contracts. What? Other contracts? People from Damn Country don't purchase weapons and equipment? Who are you kidding? Chapter 88, Mr. Wei, Lin boy, I congratulate you again on your fortune. Here you go. It's no secret that the Damn Kingdom in the Luocho region is in dire need of weapons and equipment. Daniel Harper, representing Damn Kingdom, had come to Yan Kingdom to claim he wasn't purchasing weapons and equipment. Mr. Wei, I can assure you that we haven't sold any weapons and equipment to Damn Kingdom. You know me, I would never do such a thing. I'm aware of the regulations prohibiting the export of weapons and equipment to Damn Kingdom, Lin Chenran explained with a wry smile. He was secretly pondering, while we can't directly sell military weapons and equipment, what if we could find another way, like providing some civilian steel? That wouldn't be a ban, right? Mr. Wei was clearly skeptical of Lin Chenran's words and continued tentatively. What about the contract you mentioned with Damn Kingdom? You should know what kind of person Daniel Harper is. Lin Chenran felt deeply embarrassed and caught in a dilemma. If he didn't explain clearly to Mr. Wei, he would surely think he was deceiving him. Once this matter gets to the ears of his own grandfather, it will be troublesome. A beating is probably inevitable. Full-scale fighting, tell the other party, and then suddenly say, congratulations on your wealth. Old Wei seemed to know that Lin Chenran was in a dilemma and directly threatened. Lin boy, will you tell me or not? If not, then you can wait for your grandfather to go to Linjiang province. After all, this matter can be a big deal or a small one. Hearing this, Lin Chenran instantly panicked. No, 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 Old Wei, I'm afraid you can't do it. I'll tell you. Suddenly, the other end of the phone was filled with Old Wei's hearty laughter. Then, he urged, hurry up, nagging, are you a man? Hey, being congratulated on your wealth is better than being beaten. Lin Chenran still has a clear distinction between the two. Then Lin Chenran told Old Wei about the cooperation between his own 077 mechanical military factory and the Camel region Damn Country. He emphasized that this was a cooperation on civilian products, and it will not be caught by the United States and other countries. After listening to this, Old Wei was filled with emotion. He did not expect Lin Chenran to be so cunning. He was worthy of being recognized as a little fox. You kid, you inherited your grandfather's cunning and carried it forward. You actually designed two heavy weapons and equipment using civilian steel and shipped them over in batches. It's really not a waste at all. We bought back the warships made of special metal steel from the Russian bear at a bargain price, brought them back for remelting, and then sold these steels to the Damn Kingdom. Only you kid has such a brain. Although Old Wei was sarcastic in his words, anyone with a discerning eye could see that he was praising Lin Chenran, who was very smart. No, just now, Kidlin, you hesitated because you didn't want me to know your plan. Old Wei reacted instantly. He was a little angry, but more worried and concerned. Although Lin Chenran had told Elderway that the cooperation between his 077 mechanical arsenal and Dami country didn't involve the sale of weapons and equipment, he hadn't disclosed the details of the contract, nor the price. Then Elderway launched into a barrage of scolding. "You're such a sly fellow, you little rascal. I was worried you'd make a mistake, so I called you in such a hurry. And you're so dishonest, hiding so much from me." Elderway's tone was stern and accusing, as if he couldn't explain it clearly, as if he was doomed. The most important thing was to disclose the contract amount with Dami country. Lin Chenran was speechless upon hearing this, and for a moment, he didn't know how to respond. He was indeed in the wrong this time, so facing Elderway's questioning, he could only remain silent. He could still sense the deep concern and care in Elderway's words. Otherwise, why would Elderway, in his busy schedule, call him specifically to remind him not to sign a contract with Dami country? You know, as a high-ranking military official in Yan country, Mr. Wei has a lot of daily affairs to deal with, and doesn't have much free time at all. But this time he specially took the time to warn me, which shows that he has good intentions. At this moment, Mr. Wei suddenly smiled heartily and said, "Lin boy, I have to congratulate you on getting rich." Lin Chenran was stunned when he heard this, and was completely confused by Mr. Wei's sudden congratulations on getting rich. Who can stand this? Suddenly saying, "I congratulate you on getting rich." This is not congratulations, it's simply a death warrant. Song Xian, who was standing aside, was broken when he heard this, and covered his mouth and laughed secretly. Lin Chenran glanced over, and Song Xian immediately tried hard to hold back his laughter. "How can I get rich? I'm so poor. The contract signed with Dami country is relatively small. They have to take it back for testing. If the effect is good, they will continue to purchase." Lin Chenran immediately reacted and claimed that it was just a small order. Elderway clearly didn't believe Lin Chenran and directly urged him to tell him the contracted amount, lest he immediately set off for a fight with Lin Chenran. "No, I said it wasn't possible." Hearing that Elderway was about to give him a fight, Lin Chenran quickly admitted defeat. "We only signed a $120 million order with Damu. If they are satisfied, we'll increase the order." Lin Chenran stated calmly. "What? $120 million? You're such a sly fellow. It's only $120 million. Are you really going to ask for more?" Elderway was furious when he heard the $120 million, gnashing his teeth. Lin Chenran's frivolous remark made him want to fight him even more. Even civilian goods could be sold for $120 million. What sales power? Then this. It was clear that Elderway had once again set his sights on the $120 million held by the 077 mechanical arsenal. In this era, foreign exchange is very important. Then the generous voice of Mr. Wei came from the microphone of the phone. "Ahaha. I'm right to congratulate you on your wealth this time. You are really rich." Lin Chenran certainly knew that Mr. Wei wanted to take the $120 million in his hands. Otherwise, how could it be so? Mr. Wei, your military is not short of this small amount of foreign exchange. Our 077 mechanical military factory still needs to purchase a batch of production lines from abroad. So, of course, Mr. Wei understood what Lin Chenran meant. That is to let the Yan state military not take the $120 million in the hands of the 077 mechanical military factory. They still need to purchase a batch of production lines. Don't take it. You, Lin Chenran, have a beautiful idea. You just made me worried, and you want to charge some interest. No, your 077 mechanical military factory still has a large amount of foreign exchange. This $120 million is very much needed by our military. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. $20 million is the bottom line. Lin Chenran's face instantly turned gloomy. Blatant robbery. Is there any justice in the world? But on second thought, it seems that he really can't compete with the other party. Lin Chenran sighed helplessly. Mr. Wei, why does your military always fleece our 077 mechanical military factory? Can't you dare to fleece other third-tier military factories? The contract has just been signed, and the payment for the goods from dummy country has not been settled yet, but your military has set its sights on it. Have you figured out how to use this foreign exchange? Lin Chenran felt very helpless. Not long ago, their 077 mechanical military factory was fleeced of $50 million in foreign exchange by the Yan country military, and now the Yan country military wants to repeat the old tricks and fleece them again. The 077 mechanical military factory was fleeced like Jeyu, with a bald head. Ahaha, it's not like our military was specifically targeting your 077 mechanical arsenal. We just happened to run into it. I don't know if it's our military's luck or your 077 mechanical arsenal's misfortune. Old Wenny was in a state of extraordinary joy. He was relieved to learn that his comrade's grandson had done nothing wrong and had successfully negotiated a $120 million deal with the Damu nation in the Luocho region. Lin Chenran, on the other hand, felt an indescribable surge of emotion, as if he had a fuck you stuck in his throat, unsure whether to utter it. Originally, Lin Chenran had planned to quietly sign a contract with the Damu nation in the Luocho region to supply civilian supplies, heavy mortars, gas canister shells, and a mobile, simplified Katasha rocket launcher, trying not to draw attention. But who could have imagined the Yan nation's military intelligence system was so powerful? Daniel Harper was under close surveillance the moment he deplaned. It truly lived up to old Wenny's words. I don't know if it's your misfortune or ours. Now that he'd been discovered, old Wenny was determined to fight for the Yan nation's military's fair share. The Yan state military is currently in urgent need of foreign exchange. If they could secure sufficient foreign exchange support, it would be crucial for national defense development. Lin Chenran pondered for a moment, then calmly said, Mr. Wei, we at the 077 machinery and military factory have accepted defeat this time, but we can't convert all of the $120 million we have into Yanbi, because our 077 machinery and military factory also needs this foreign exchange to purchase advanced equipment and technology from abroad, which will enhance our factory's strength and competitiveness. I can only exchange a maximum of $20 million. Even with only $20 million overall, the 077 machinery and military factory is still losing money. It's still a loss. It's simply giving money to the Yan state military. The US dollar is closely linked to commodities like oil and gold, making its value relatively stable. The Yanbi exchange rate, however, fluctuates greatly, potentially reducing its actual purchasing power. The black market exchange rate is as high as $1 to 8 or even 10 Yanbi. Elder Wenny couldn't help but feel astonished, thinking to himself, how could this guy so readily agree to exchange $20 million for Yanbi? Is there a conspiracy? Elder Wenny was lost in deep thought, trying to find an answer. Lin Chenran wasn't one to compromise easily. When the 077 mechanical arsenal successfully partnered with Saudi Arabia in the Luocho region and secured $250 million in foreign exchange, the Yan military had hoped to get a share, but Lin Chenran had refused to budge. After some bargaining, Lin Chenran reluctantly agreed to exchange $50 million for the Yan military. Why was he so generous now? Elder Wenny asked tentatively. Lin, you've set a trap for us, haven't you? Elder Wenny was filled with vigilance and suspicion. He seemed to sense something. If something's wrong, a mere $20 million won't be enough. He aired his doubts directly. If the Yan Kingdom military truly needed to help the 077 mechanical arsenal resolve some of its problems, then this amount of money was clearly far from enough. Hearing this, Lin Chenran was stunned for a moment, muttering to himself, how could they be so perceptive, guessing my intentions so quickly? He quickly explained with a smile. Oh, Elder Wenny, you're overthinking it. How could I possibly set a trap? However, Elder Wenny immediately scolded him. HMPH, you still say no? You're truly unreliable. His tone was tinged with dissatisfaction and rebuke. Lin Chenran laughed heartily, attempting to lighten the mood. Haha, Elder Wenny, you misunderstood. This isn't a trap. I just need your military's help with some minor matters. Then, Lin Chenran detailed to Elder Wenny the specific matters requiring the Yan Kingdom's assistance. The cooperation between the 077 mechanical arsenal and Damu Kingdom was a borderline effort, a clever way of circumventing the blockade by countries like the United States. But overall, the 077 mechanical arsenal did provide weapons and equipment to Damu Kingdom. It was just that these weapons and equipment were assembled in Damu Kingdom. After it was discovered that Lin Chenran needed his own 077 machinery arsenal, the Yanjiuo military backed him, claiming they were only providing civilian supplies, not weapons and equipment. Upon hearing this, Elder Wei pondered, I see. I thought the Yanjiuo military would have to go through hell. Elder Wei had originally wanted to secure greater benefits for the Yanjiuo military, but Lin Chenran wasn't happy. Elder Wei, your military is only doing such a small thing. $20 million is our bottom line. If you're not willing to do it, I'm sure other departments will. At worst, I'll find another department to do it. It might not even cost $20 million, maybe even $5 million. Lin Chenran stated bluntly that $20 million was the bottom line. If the Yanjiuo military wanted more, he would contact other Yanjiuo departments. The diplomatic department belonged to the government. So, upon hearing this, Elder Wei fell silent. Indeed, then he should quit while he was ahead. The $20 million was also a pleasant surprise. Okay, $20 million is $20 million. Old Wei agreed on behalf of the Yan state military. After chatting for a while, the two hung up the phone. Oh, it's really tiring to talk to military leaders. Lin Chenran sighed deeply, his face showing fatigue. Song Xian, who was standing next to him, came over and smiled. Only you, Lin Chenran, dare to negotiate terms with Old Wei. He had to admire Lin Chenran. Old Song, if other people can fight for the interests of the Yan state military like I do, they can also bargain with Old Wei in this way. And the military can get $20 million in foreign exchange just by talking. Lin Chenran immediately quibbled. Song Xian shook his head and left Lin Chenran's office. He still had things to deal with. Chapter 90 The third time traveling to the world of Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf. Although they paid the Yan Kingdom military $20 million in protection fees, at least they're doing their job. It's not a big loss. The 077 mechanical military factory sells steel pipes, gas canister shells, and mobile, simplified Katasha rocket launchers, though they are assembled in Damu country in the Luochao region. And the 077 mechanical military factory only sells civilian steel products. But generally speaking, they are looking for loopholes to provide Damu country with weapons and equipment. At this point, they definitely need the support of the state. So, spending $20 million to spend money to ward off disaster. Meanwhile, after hanging up the phone, Elder Wei immediately reported the 077 mechanical military factory's collaboration with Damu country. And this time, the 077 mechanical military factory paid $20 million in foreign currency as protection fees. The Yan Kingdom military leaders were all surprised. So business can be done this way. Replacing military products with civilian goods. This idea is truly ingenious and unique, truly eye-opening. First, they designed two simple weapons and equipment specifically for Damu country, then shipped them in batches to Damu country for assembly. Then, they sold a high explosive formula to Damu. Even more astonishingly, the 077 mechanical arsenal was able to utilize specialized steel from decommissioned warships obtained from Russia, remelting it into civilian steel, and using it there, effectively eliminating waste, and maximizing economic efficiency. This series of operations was a stroke of genius, a perfect win-win for both sides. The 077 mechanical arsenal profited from providing weapons and explosives formulas, while Damu received the weapons and materials it needed, while also evading a blockade by hostile forces. The entire plan resembled a meticulously designed closed loop, with each link tightly interconnected and mutually reinforcing. Only Lin Chenran could have come up with such a brilliant idea. As expected, those who are quick to make money shine everywhere. Among the Yan Kingdom's third-tier military factories, only the 077 mechanical arsenal relied on its own efforts to find customers and sell weapons and equipment, ultimately earning substantial foreign exchange. The leadership of the other third-tier military factories remained naive and unwilling to seek a way out, preferring to simply wait for the Yan Kingdom's military to feed them orders. Old Wendy, why don't you take more foreign exchange? $20 million is too little. The 077 machinery and military factories order is worth $120 million. A high-ranking Yan military official expressed his dissatisfaction. Huh? Not satisfied with $20 million? Then go ask for it. Lin Brat won't give it. The 077 machinery and military factory needs to develop too. If you take it all, what will become of the foreign exchange you'll receive later? Stop killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Adding the $50 million last time, the 077 machinery and military factory has provided the military with $70 million in foreign exchange in just a few months. And the monthly sales of Type 59 civilian engineering vehicles from the 077 machinery and military factory provide a significant amount of funding for the military. What else do you want? Old Welly retorted. It's rare for a third-tier military factory to be able to expand internationally, but the higher-ups have simply taken all the foreign exchange. The 077 machinery and military factory will undoubtedly be unable to upgrade its facilities and equipment. The result will be a gradual decline. Everyone was stunned. The Yanjiuo military leader retorted, it's only natural that the 077 machinery and military factory needs to develop, but they can't afford to spend so much money on purchasing production equipment. The 077 machinery and military factory is still one of our subordinate military factories. They should show a little dedication. Elder Wendy frowned upon hearing this and continued, if other third-tier military factories could provide us with a steady stream of funds every month, like the 077 machinery and military factory, and occasionally provide us with some foreign exchange, I would directly support them. Indeed, if all the third-tier military factories in Yanjiuo could provide the Yanjiuo military with a steady stream of funds and occasionally provide some foreign exchange, the Yanjiuo military could truly support this military enterprise. After all, the Yanjiuo military is currently penniless and facing a severe shortage of foreign exchange. That's right, we really can't kill the goose that lays the golden eggs and prevent the development of the third-tier military factories. In the end, the top leader made the final decision. Internally commend the 077 machinery and military factory, acknowledge their contributions, and let the other third-tier military factories learn from them. Why has the 077 machinery and military factory been able to successfully transform itself? Not only has it achieved great success in the civilian market, but they've also been able to develop overseas channels for military sales. Others can do it, but you can't. Is it because you're doing things incorrectly? Shouldn't you change your approach? The Yan Kingdom's military leaders were furious with the third-tier military factories for their lack of ambition. Even if you can't find military orders, why not at least transition to selling civilian products? Just sitting back and waiting for orders from the Yan Kingdom military? Lin Chenran was completely unaware that his own 077 machinery and military factory had once again become the focus of attention, earning the full support of the Yan Kingdom's top military leaders. At this moment, he had traveled through the heavens, arriving in another world. When the camera returned to the 077 machinery and military factory, Lin Chenran was busy processing a mountain of paperwork. After finishing his work, he told his assistant, Xiao Liang, that he needed to rest in his office and didn't want to be disturbed by anyone, even if it was important. Then Lin Chenran sat in his office chair and entered the system interface. System, I want to use the opportunity to travel through the universe that was awarded last time. Lin Chenran said silently in his heart. Suddenly, a cold mechanical voice sounded in his mind. Host, do you want to start the travel through the universe? Yes or no? Lin Chenran made a choice without hesitation. Yes. Although he has had 2 experiences of time travel, he is full of anticipation and excitement for the upcoming journey. Each time he travels through time, he goes to a brand new world with endless possibilities waiting for him to explore. The first time he traveled through time, he came to the world of Doraemon, and the second time he went to Wakanda in the Marvel universe. Both experiences have brought him a lot of gains and made him more looking forward to the future time travel journey. And what kind of surprise will this time bring him? A new journey, a new world. The time travel of all heavens has begun. In an instant, a powerful force swept over, making Lin Chenran feel an irresistible force. His body was instantly enveloped by this power, and his eyes were blurred and hazy, as if the whole world was spinning rapidly, and the whole person became dizzy. When he opened his eyes, he came to a brand new world. Just as Lin Chenran asked about the world he was in, the system gave a very considerate reminder. Congratulations to the host for coming to the world of Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf. This is the green grassland. What? The world of Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf. Lin Chenran was surprised. There is only one update today. The author has a headache and a fever. Sorry, Godfathers. Please take a leave. I'm short of 2,000. Please see the following to make up for it. Chapter 91. Sheep catching skill is missing. Other skills are maximum doubt. Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf is a beloved Chinese animated series, a childhood memory for many, and a continuing hit. Its immense popularity has spawned several hit animated films. For Lin Chenran, a time traveler from a new era, this animation is all too familiar. It's a classic that has permeated his entire childhood. Standing on a lush green lawn, Lin Chenran's thoughts drifted, his heart filled with memories. On this verdant grassland, two powerful factions existed, the sheep village and the wolf fort. Now, he faced a decision. Which faction should he approach for trade? Both the sheep village and the wolf fort boasted top-tier talent. The sheep village boasted the wise slow sheep, while the wolf fort housed the clever big wolf. This left Lin Chenran deeply conflicted, unsure of his decision. Soon, his decision was made. That's right, he was going to the wolf fort to witness Big Wolf, whose skills were all maximum doubt except for his inability to catch sheep. In the world of the universe, Lin Chenran is omnipotent and invincible. After a while, Lin Chenran appeared in the laboratory of Wolf Castle. At this time, Big Bad Wolf was arranging props in the laboratory, and then used the props to catch sheep. Big Bad Wolf has never tried mutton since he came to the green grassland. Look, he is bullied and beaten by Red Wolf every day. Who are you? Big Bad Wolf looked at Lin Chenran, who suddenly appeared and became alert. The drool at the corners of his mouth flowed down. Human? How is this possible? Lin Chenran smiled slightly. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Lin Chenran, a time traveler from another world. I just came to the green grassland and want to see the creatures of this world. When Big Bad Wolf heard what Lin Chenran said, his eyes suddenly lit up and revealed a greedy look. He licked his lips and thought, this human looks delicious. If I could capture him and present him to my wife, she'd probably be very happy. So, Grey Wolf cautiously asked, are you truly a time traveler? What are you doing here? Lin Chenran smiled faintly and replied, I'm just passing through, checking out what interesting things this world has to offer. I didn't expect to meet you, Mr. Grey Wolf. Then, seeing Grey Wolf drooling and his eyes reddening, Lin Chenran smiled contemptuously and said, Grey Wolf, you want to eat me? Grey Wolf made no secret of his thoughts and said, of course, I haven't eaten meat in a long time. This is a normal physiological phenomenon. After all, in the real world, they'll eat anything when they're hungry. Lin Chenran's lips curled up at this, and he laughed heartily, saying, it's true, but do you think you can beat me? Lin Chenran's confidence stemmed from the immense power granted to him by the system. In the world of the universe, Lin Chenran was unbeatable, and no one could stand up to him. However, Big Bad Wolf responded very confidently, I think I can. After saying that, he quickly picked up a weapon from his laboratory table. This was a weapon he designed and developed specifically for catching lambs. Although Big Bad Wolf didn't know the actual effect of this weapon, he decided to use it to test Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran shook his head helplessly, smiled bitterly and said, so you want me to help you test your newly completed weapon? Big Bad Wolf is too naive. He actually dared to challenge himself. Was it Liang Jingru who gave him the courage? But since Big Bad Wolf was so persistent, Lin Chenran would fulfill his wish and let him see his strength. Only by making Big Bad Wolf completely convinced could the transaction be carried out smoothly. Lin Chenran waved his hand provocatively, asking Big Bad Wolf to use the weapon. This provocative behavior completely angered Big Bad Wolf. So, Big Bad Wolf used the weapon to fire a cannonball directly at Lin Chenran. This was a weapon specially invented by Big Bad Wolf to catch those cunning lambs, and its power was quite amazing. The shells shot out, carrying a powerful impact and destructive force, flying towards Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran was not panicked at all, because all this was in his plan. Grey Wolf wanted to catch him, but it was still a long way off. Lin Chenran waved his hand, and a small black hole appeared in front of it, swallowing up the shells fired by Grey Wolf. It didn't even give it a chance to explode. Grey Wolf was stunned, and the whole wolf was extremely surprised. What's going on? There is such an operation? It's simply too shameless. Grey Wolf, how about you continue? Lin Chenran waved his hand, asking Grey Wolf to continue firing shells. How can he make a deal without completely convincing him? No, Master Lin, I was wrong. I shouldn't have had any illusions about you. Now I'm convinced. Even the breath I exhale is convinced. Grey Wolf threw the weapon and equipment far away and begged for mercy. Seeing this, Lin Chenran was instantly delighted. He hadn't expected Grey Wolf to beg for mercy so quickly. Alright. Since you're convinced, let's make a deal. Lin Chenran stopped teasing Grey Wolf and chose to make the deal immediately. Master Lin, don't even talk about a deal. I'll give you anything you like. I only ask that you spare our lives. Grey Wolf said cautiously, wiping his sweat. At the same time, he was thinking to himself, I must send this dangerous person away quickly, otherwise it will threaten the lives of myself and Hang Hang. Lin Chenran's mouth corners rose slightly, revealing a mysterious smile. Don't worry, Grey Wolf, I won't do anything to you and Red Wolf, and I won't let you suffer. After hearing this, Grey Wolf was shocked and asked quickly, what does this mean? He thought to himself, what does this person want to do? Is he really going to make a deal with me? But how can he know what I'm thinking? Lin Chenran looked at Grey Wolf's nervous expression and smiled faintly. Don't be nervous, Grey Wolf. I can hear your inner thoughts. But I won't hurt you. Ah. Grey Wolf screamed in horror and quickly covered his mouth with his hands, not daring to think about it anymore. This mind reading is really amazing. It can actually read other people's inner thoughts directly. As time was running out, Lin Chenran decided not to beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Grey Wolf, I can trade you the mutton you've always dreamed of, and in exchange, I need the props you invented. I'm very interested in your props. Grey Wolf couldn't believe that there would be a strong man interested in the props he invented and could even use mutton as an exchange. This? You must be kidding. Lin Chenran didn't say much nonsense and directly exchanged a fat little sheep from the system. This? The moment Grey Wolf saw the fat little sheep, his saliva flowed from the corner of his mouth again. Can we really trade? Chapter 92. The transaction was successful, and 3 items were obtained from Wolf. Can it really be traded? Grey Wolf asked anxiously. Since it came to the green grassland, it has never caught a fat lamb. It has even almost forgotten the taste of mutton. And now Lin Chenran actually conjured up a fat lamb out of thin air and said that it could be traded with itself. Is this a pie in the sky? Yes, a fair trade. Lin Chenran answered affirmatively. A mere lamb is not a difficult task for him. Using a fat lamb to exchange for the props in Grey Wolf's hand is definitely a good deal. Grey Wolf tried hard to suppress the greed in his heart and asked cautiously, Master Lin, what do you want to trade with me? It thought to itself, if the other party wants to trade with Hang Hang, then it won't do. It can't abandon its wife just because it wants to eat mutton. Unable to hold it back any longer, Lin Chenran burst out laughing. Haha. Trade Red Wolf. He laughed so hard that tears almost came out. I'm afraid only you, Grey Wolf, can't stand this fierce female wolf. When Grey Wolf heard this, his face flushed red and he felt uneasy. He knew what Lin Chenran meant. He had been so busy having fun that he had forgotten that Lin Chenran could read minds. All his thoughts were seen through by him. Thinking of this, Grey Wolf became panicked. Lin Chenran looked at Grey Wolf's panic, smiled and shook his head, saying, Don't worry, Grey Wolf, I don't intend to take your head. Then he said earnestly, you traded with me just to let Red Wolf eat the mutton. If I really traded her away, you would definitely not do it, and you might even fight me to the death. Lin Chenran's words touched Grey Wolf's heart, and he couldn't help but feel a little moved. Yes, in his heart, family is always the most important. As the story progresses, it becomes clear that Wolf is willing to sacrifice anything to protect his family. When his family is in danger, he unleashes incredible strength, doing whatever it takes to save them. Wolf breathed a sigh of relief, thankfully undetected, as this would have been disastrous. He then tentatively inquired, "Master Lin, what do you want in trade?" Wolf felt a sense of trepidation, unsure of what the mysterious Master Lin might demand. But he also understood that failing to meet his demands would spell doom for him. Wolf pondered that, aside from the wolf fort, the only things he could trade with Master Lin were his own inventions. He chuckled dryly at this, saying, "Perhaps my inventions are still of some use." Lin Chenran, on the other hand, showed no interest in the wolf fort. Even if the deal went through, he wouldn't be able to bring it back to the real world. What he truly desired were Wolf's various inventions. These were incredibly advanced for their world. Lin Chenran then stated his intentions directly. "I'm quite interested in your invention." Hearing Lin Chenran's frank expression of his love for his invention, Grey Wolf felt a surge of happiness. It turned out that the invention he had always considered a failure could become a bargaining chip in exchange for delicious lamb. This made him extremely excited. "Master Lin, what props do you need?" Grey Wolf asked cautiously, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. Grey Wolf looked at the lamb before him, his heart filled with longing and greed. Although he desperately wanted to claim the plump lamb in Lin Chenran's hands, he suppressed his desire and asked gently, "What kind of props do you need? Just tell me, and I will do my best to meet your needs." Grey Wolf thought to himself, if he didn't have the props he needed right now, with his ingenuity, he would surely be able to create them quickly. He was known as the concept wolf with all skills, maximum doubt except for catching lambs. He had originally invented these props to capture those plump lambs, and now he could achieve the same goal by exchanging them with Lin Chenran. Wouldn't that save a lot of trouble? After a moment's contemplation, Lin Chenran casually listed 3 items that Wolf had in his hand. "I remember you have an efficiency potion, an aircraft, and an automatic sheep catching device." Then he continued, "I need the formula for the efficiency potion and some of the materials. In addition, there are also design drawings for the aircraft and the automatic sheep catching device." After hearing this, Wolf's face lit up with joy. Because he had the items Lin Chenran mentioned, he immediately responded, "Okay, I'll prepare them for you right away." After that, he turned and walked to the lab table and started to get busy. Wolf made preparations quickly, fearing that Lin Chenran would not trade with him the next moment. In less than half an hour, Wolf had prepared the props for Lin Chenran's invention. "Master Lin, the props you need are ready, so." Wolf couldn't wait to take the little fat sheep from Lin Chenran's hand. "No problem." Lin Chenran agreed without hesitation. After a while, 2 light circles appeared in Wolf's underground laboratory. Lin Chenran waved his hand, and the little fat sheep appeared within the circle of light. He then explained to Grey Wolf, "Place all your props in the other circle of light." Upon hearing this, Grey Wolf quickly placed his prepared props in the other circle of light. Suddenly, a cold, mechanical voice echoed in Lin Chenran and Grey Wolf's minds. "Do you want to trade?" Grey Wolf, startled by the sudden mechanical voice, looked around. "This," Lin Chenran said calmly. "Grey Wolf, just say yes, and that plump little sheep will be yours." Grey Wolf hesitated, but finally said, "Yes." Trade successful. The next moment, the circle of light vanished, and with it, the props it had traded vanished, and the plump little fat sheep appeared in Grey Wolf's hands. "Wolf, the deal is done. I might come to your green grassland later and trade other items with you." After Lin Chenran finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Wolf. "This?" Wolf looked around to confirm whether Lin Chenran had left. After all, the pressure Lin Chenran brought to it was too great. He could easily create a black hole by appearing at any time and anywhere. After circling around and making sure that Lin Chenran had left, Wolf took the fat lamb and left his laboratory, shouting excitedly, "Hung hung, I caught the lamb." Chapter 93. Half a year passes in a flash. A wave of dizziness returned as Lin Chenran returned to the real world from the world of Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf. This trip to the Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf world brought Lin Chenran a bonanza. He successfully struck a deal with Big Wolf, receiving 3 precious items. The first item was a bottle of efficiency potion, along with its recipe and the necessary ingredients. This potion greatly boosted the user's work efficiency, making it a treasure for Lin Chenran, who strives for efficient production. Lin Chenran had originally set his sights on the efficiency potion because he hoped to speed up his apocalypse tank project. He had long felt that the project was progressing slowly, and he was eager to use the efficiency potion to accelerate progress. With the efficiency potion, he could directly administer it to the engineers at the 077 mechanical arsenal, significantly increasing their efficiency. This was truly the legendary treasure of a ruthless boss. By increasing efficiency, employees would work harder and contribute more to the smooth progress of the project. The second item was a flying vehicle. Aircraft are also a very interesting invention. Although their current manufacturing presents certain difficulties, with the passage of time and advancement of technology, these problems are likely to be overcome. Once the 077 mechanical arsenal reaches a higher level of technological sophistication, the creation of a similar aircraft may become a reality. Secondly, Lin Chenran requested the blueprints for Grey Wolf's aircraft in order to absorb its superior design. He hopes to apply these advanced designs to drones and fighter jets. After all, Grey Wolf is known as the concept wolf whose all skills, except sheep catching, are fully upgraded. The final item is an automatic sheep catching device. Lin Chenran was attracted by its automatic nature and wanted to see how it identified the sheep. If modified, could it be used to locate missiles, directly capturing their targets and then attacking them? If applicable to missiles, this would create a powerful and invincible secret weapon. Hehe. Then let Yan Nation's enemies test this locating missile. Lin Chenran was thrilled at the thought. And so, he went ahead and did it. Lin Chenran began to carefully browse the design drawings and R&D formulas for several of Grey Wolf's props. After a deeper understanding, Lin Chenran couldn't help but admire Grey Wolf's wisdom. He was indeed a top talent with all skills, maximum doubt except for the sheep catching skill. After many attempts, Lin Chenran finally mixed up the efficiency potion, and the effect was so good that it directly increased the efficiency of everyone at the 077 mechanical arsenal. As for the aircraft, although Lin Chenran could manufacture it, its flight range was only a few dozen kilometers. It seemed rather useless. Regarding the dense energy in the existing world, Lin Chenran could only think of nuclear energy, but he had no relevant technology. The most important thing was to compress the huge amount of energy into a small device. This directly reminded Lin Chenran of Iron Man in the Marvel Universe. Its two energy supply devices, especially the new element device at the back, was amazing, directly eliminating the damage caused by palladium to the body. However, the energy device of Grey Wolf's aircraft was several levels lower than that of Iron Man. Therefore, Iron Man's energy device could provide a continuous supply of power, and the energy device of Grey Wolf will be used up, and it needs to be constantly replenished. The difference between the two is several levels. Although it is a relatively useless product, it will also have its own market. Lin Chenran targeted the Camel region of Saudi Arabia. They are the ones who know how to enjoy it. When the subsequent energy devices are solved, it will be a battlefield weapon. Time flies, and half a year has passed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Lin Chenran, Song Xian, and other senior executives stood at the door of the building of the 077 mechanical arsenal, waiting quietly. They were waiting for the arrival of the distinguished guests of the 077 mechanical arsenal. Not long after, a huge convoy slowly appeared in the field of vision of Lin Chenran and others, and gradually approached. Lin Chenran took a closer look and immediately recognized that the convoy belonged to the Yan State military. Soon, the Yan State military convoy stopped steadily in front of the complex building of the 077 mechanical arsenal. The military leaders of the Yan State, led by Old Wei, stood tall and majestic as they got out of the car, then walked towards Lin Chenran with firm steps. Warmly welcome all the leaders to visit the 077 mechanical arsenal and provide guidance on our work. Lin Chenran, with a warm smile on his face, stepped forward to greet them. Our main purpose of this trip is to see the apocalypse tank of the 077 mechanical arsenal with our own eyes, and to learn about the new weapons and equipment you have reported. Old Welly directly pointed out that he wanted to see the apocalypse tank of the 077 mechanical arsenal, as well as the new weapons and equipment. That's right, the apocalypse tank is off the production line. The apocalypse tank, which was originally estimated to be off the production line in a year and a half, was accelerated with the help of efficiency potions. In less than half a year, the apocalypse tank was off the production line and could undergo various tests. Of course, This apocalypse tank is equipped with the Russian 125mm smoothbore gun. As for the 120mm smoothbore gun of the Yan State 212 mechanical arsenal, it is still under development. There was no other way. The high efficiency potion must be given priority for use by the 077 mechanical arsenal. The 212 mechanical arsenal was only a partner with the 077 mechanical arsenal. Lin Chenran was very clear about the priorities of the two military enterprises. You are most welcome. Although the Yan State military was broke, and it was impossible for them to purchase large quantities of weapons and equipment from the 077 mechanical arsenal, Lin Chenran had to show the right attitude. You kid, I kept asking you what the new weapons and equipment were, but you kept hesitating and covering it up. Now you're actually showing it off? It must be aimed at the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region. Old Wenny laughed and scolded. In Old Wenny's eyes, Lin Chenran was the kind of person who would not show his eagle until he saw the rabbit. Now letting the Yan State military come here must be to give their 077 mechanical arsenal a chance to show off in front of the Saudi kingdom representatives in the Camel region. At least they can't lose in terms of momentum. How could that be? I'm not that kind of person. Lin Chenran shook his head repeatedly in denial. He would never admit it, even if he was beaten to death. I know exactly what kind of person you are. You're just pretending to be stupid. Old Wenny obviously didn't buy into Lin Chenran's tricks. He knew exactly what kind of person he was. Well, there's a relatively useless weapon and equipment prepared for the wealthy people of Saudi Arabia in the Camel region. Taking advantage of the apocalypse tank coming off the production line, Lin Chenran directly promoted the aircraft designed and developed by his own 077 mechanical arsenal to the representatives of Saudi Arabia in the Camel region. You kid. Old Wenny didn't know how to scold him for a moment. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Look. It looks like a convoy from Saudi Arabia in the Camel region." Chapter 94, Selling Expensive Aircraft to the Yan Country Military. Following the shout, everyone looked in the direction of his finger. In the distance, a large convoy was seen slowly approaching. As the distance shortened, the outlines of the vehicles gradually became clearer. That's right, it was the iconic Rolls-Royce fleet of Saudi Arabia in the Camel region. Oh wow. Mr. Wenny, the big sponsor of our 077 mechanical arsenal is about to arrive. Lin Chenran said half jokingly. Saudi Arabia in the Camel region is an important partner of the 077 mechanical arsenal and can be said to be their financial sponsor. The smiles on the faces of the senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal became brighter, as if they had seen a pile of winged US dollars flying towards them. A senior military official from the Yan Kingdom smiled and said to Mr. Wenny, "Old Wenny, look, this is reality. Whoever gives you milk is your mother." This remark caused a burst of laughter from the people around him, and the atmosphere instantly became relaxed and cheerful. Upon hearing this, the senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal had a flash of embarrassment on their faces, but they quickly returned to normal. This is the truth and there is no need to hide it. Lin Chenran smiled and said, "Captain, if your military can provide me with an order for at least $250 million USD for the 077 machinery arsenal, with further cooperation projects to come, we will undoubtedly treat you as our most important customer, even treating you with respect and service like masters." Elder Wenny shook his head, knowing full well that the military's budget was limited, and it was impossible for them to undertake such a massive order. He smiled dryly and said, "No, no, no, our military can't afford such treatment." He then added, "Our military currently doesn't have orders worth hundreds of millions of USD, so don't get your hopes up. This order of 100 apocalypse tanks is already a limit." Without the financial backing of the 077 machinery arsenal, the Yan nation military would have struggled to come up with the 200 million Yan coins needed to purchase the apocalypse tanks. Elder Wenny then approached Lin Chenran and whispered, "What weapons and equipment are you selling to the Saudi nation in the Camel region?" Elder Wenny was also deeply curious. Lin Chenran didn't hold back, stating openly, "It's an aircraft with a range of only about 10 kilometers. Upon hearing this, Elder Wenny and the other Yan nation military brass were perplexed, asking, "Aircraft?" The term was unfamiliar to them, unsure of its meaning. Song Xian, standing nearby, began a brief explanation. "It's actually a small, manned aircraft. With just one person aboard, it can take to the skies, but its range is only a dozen kilometers. The Yan Nation military brass were stunned. Such a weapon existed. It was truly incredible. Lin Chenran continued, if used in a decapitation operation, this aircraft would be a formidable weapon. He further explained, it could penetrate undetected into the enemy's heartland and quickly execute a decapitation operation. The group fell into deep thought. This new weaponry truly possessed unique advantages. If properly utilized, it could potentially yield unexpected results on the battlefield. No, we can't afford it. Elder Wei interrupted Lin Chenran's introduction and directly rejected the other party's idea of selling him an aircraft. Although it sounds very exciting, being able to break through the blockade and directly reach the center of the hostile forces, and then carry out a decapitation operation. Based on Elder Wei's understanding of Lin Chenran, the price of this aircraft must be very expensive. Otherwise, why would he sell it to the representative of the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region? Elder Wei showed an expression that I have seen through you. Seeing this, Lin Chenran instantly smiled bitterly. The inherent impression is directly killing. Lin Chenran directly gave a shot of prevention to the senior military officials of the Yan kingdom, so that the aircraft designed and developed by the 077 mechanical military factory would not be too amazing, and could not be sold. Commendators, this aircraft is indeed excellent. If the military does not need it, then we can only find the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region. Don't blame us for not informing them in advance. Lin Chenran once again emphasized that his own aircraft is very awesome. The Yan country's military leaders seemed to have seen through Lin Chenran's tricks and rejected him in unison. Huh. Okay then. Lin Chenran was speechless. Not long after, the fleet of more than a dozen luxurious Rolls-Royces from the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region slowly stopped in front of the complex building of the 077 mechanical arsenal. The car door opened, and Abdul and a group of Saudi representatives from the Camel region got out of the car. They were dressed in gorgeous clothes and wore white cloths on their heads that symbolized wealth and status, which made them particularly eye-catching. These representatives held their heads high and walked towards Lin Chenran and others with confident steps. At this time, Lin Chenran stepped forward enthusiastically with a smile on his face, shook hands with Abdul and other representatives from the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region one by one, and extended his sincere greetings. Welcome all distinguished guests from the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region to visit our 077 mechanical arsenal again. Your arrival makes our factory shine. The military leaders of Yan country who were standing not far away looked at Lin Chenran's enthusiastic attitude, and they couldn't help feeling a little jealous. They whispered, this is too enthusiastic. It feels like he is more intimate than seeing us. That's right, he is indeed a sponsor. The treatment has been directly upgraded to a higher level. Hearing everyone's discussions, Old Wei couldn't help but scold in a low voice. If you can provide me with a large order of hundreds of millions of dollars like the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region, I can also worship you like a master like Lin Chenran does. Put away your dissatisfaction and follow Lin Chenran to welcome the distinguished guests from the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region. After Old Wei finished speaking, he walked up to Abdul enthusiastically with a smile on his face and greeted him. Previously, Saudi Arabia in the Camel region had also purchased a batch of arms from the Yan Kingdom military. Yan Kingdom is a major customer, so Abdul responded enthusiastically. Approaching Lin Chenran, he excitedly said, Lin, my friend, I never expected that just 6 months later, your 077 machinery and military factory would give us such good news. This $250 million is truly worth it. The situation in the Camel region was becoming increasingly tense, and Saudi Arabia truly needed a powerful and invincible tank to bring order. Originally, Saudi Arabia in the Camel region had considered visiting Russia to purchase a batch of T-72 tanks to shake things up. Unexpectedly, Yan Kingdom actually received good news. The Apocalypse tank, developed in collaboration with Yan Kingdom's 077 machinery and military factory, had rolled off the production line. Abdul and his companions were invited to participate in the final testing. Abdul and his companions hurried from Saudi Arabia in the Camel region to Yan Kingdom. Chapter 95. Watching the Apocalypse tank up close. Abdul was extremely curious and couldn't wait to learn just how much of a role the special basalt steel would play in the Apocalypse tank. He was eager to immediately witness the power and performance of this new tank. Abdul, please follow me. Lin Chenran smiled and invited Abdul, leading the group to the test site. Abdul and the others gladly accepted Lin Chenran's invitation and decided to follow his instructions and head to the test site together. Meanwhile, the Yan Kingdom's military leaders followed closely behind, and everyone headed for the test site together. Upon arriving at the test site, everyone was surprised to find a massive object covered by a massive black tarpaulin. This mysterious object was none other than the Apocalypse tank, the second generation main battle tank meticulously designed and developed by the 077 machinery arsenal. As everyone watched with anticipation, Lin Chenran signaled his staff to remove the massive tarpaulin covering the Apocalypse tank. After some effort, the tarpaulin finally slowly opened, revealing the war behemoth within the Apocalypse tank. Wow. Everyone gasped in amazement as they beheld the Apocalypse tank's imposing exterior. They were completely overwhelmed by the tank's majesty and the overwhelming presence it evoked. The Yan nation's military leaders were particularly struck by their amazement. While the Apocalypse tank was a modified Type 59 tank, only its shadow could be seen. Every aspect had undergone significant changes. This is the Apocalypse tank, the second generation main battle tank designed and developed by our 077 machinery and arsenal, Lin Chenran explained, amidst the astonished gazes of the crowd. This second generation main battle tank, produced in less than 6 months, has set numerous records. Salman, the Saudi representative from the Camel region, approached Lin Chenran with a request. Lin, can we see the Apocalypse tank up close? His voice was filled with anticipation, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Lin Chenran replied without hesitation, you are also an owner of the Apocalypse tank, so of course you can see it up close. His tone was firm and confident, as if he had complete confidence in the products of his own 077 machinery and arsenal. Upon hearing this, the Saudi representatives from the Camel region beamed with delight. They eagerly stepped forward to examine the Apocalypse tank up close. Some even climbed atop it, meticulously examining its exterior and details. Others climbed inside, feeling the awe of its equipment. As they observed, they marveled at the new main battle tank, effusively praising it. Meanwhile, the Yan Kingdom's military leaders suppressed their excitement. Although they too were eager to see the Apocalypse tank up close, since the Saudi representatives from the Camel region were already admiring it, they decided to wait and leave the opportunity to the guests. Once inside, they were guests, and their needs should be prioritized. Seeing the Saudi representatives from the Camel region so enthusiastically admiring the Apocalypse tank, Lin Chenran couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. After their round, Salman strode over, excitedly expressing his admiration for the Apocalypse tank. Lin, this tank is so shocking. I have never seen such a powerful weapon. Of course, the Apocalypse tank is the result of the hard work of a group of top engineers from our 077 mechanical arsenal. Lin Chenran replied with a smile. Especially the special basalt steel plate that the Apocalypse tank is covered with, he added. Lin Chenran replied lightly, but his heart was full of pride. The special basalt steel is a special steel that Lin Chenran made, based on the vibranium of the Marvel universe. It is far ahead of other special steel materials in all aspects. This special steel is not only strong and tough, but also has excellent protective properties and can withstand various attacks. After the representatives of the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region watched the Apocalypse tank at close range, the bigwigs of the Yan kingdom's military couldn't wait to step forward and observe it carefully. They carefully studied the details of the tank and exclaimed in admiration from time to time. After everyone had a close-up look at their own Apocalypse tank, Lin Chenran slowly spoke, introducing the upcoming experiment. Everyone, we are going to demonstrate the Apocalypse tank's combat capabilities. Please be prepared. His voice tinged with anticipation and excitement. The atmosphere at the scene immediately tensed, everyone eagerly anticipating the Apocalypse tank's combat performance. They knew this was a crucial moment, a crucial one to verify the performance of this new tank. The first test was a dynamic test of the Apocalypse tank. The massive steel behemoth sped across the vast proving grounds at astonishing speed. It effortlessly traversed the complex terrain, including steep slopes, ditches, and uneven roads, demonstrating exceptional maneuverability and stability. The crowd gasped in amazement at the Apocalypse tank's impressive performance. Abdul, the Apocalypse tank is powered by a 760 horsepower, 4-stroke, V12-cylinder V46 diesel engine. Its power is undeniable. While not the most powerful tank engine currently available, it's certainly in the top tier, Lin Chenran proudly declared. Lin Chenran didn't exaggerate the power of the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine. After all, it was there. Even the Swords and the Camel region had T-72 tanks, so they were more familiar with this tank engine than the Yan Kingdom. Abdul looked at Lin Chenran with confusion and asked, "Lin, I want to know, is the engine currently equipped in this Apocalypse tank imported from Russia, or is it domestically produced?" This question was crucial to Abdul. If it still needed to be imported from Russia, it would not be good news for the Swords and the Camel region. They planned to wait until Yan Kingdom had domestically produced the engine before sending professional technicians to provide technical guidance. A factory was to be established in the Swords and the Camel region to produce the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine. Lin Chenran smiled faintly and said to Abdul, "Abdul, my friend, rest assured. Our 077 machinery and military factory has successfully mastered and assimilated the technology of the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine." He then went on to explain, the tank engine equipped in this Apocalypse tank was manufactured by our 077 machinery and military factory. This tank engine has been domestically produced. Hearing this, the Yan state military leaders present couldn't help but smile. They had never expected the 077 machinery and military factory to actually achieve this. The 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine is one of the most advanced tank engines in the world today. Now that the 077 machinery and military factory has achieved domestic production is truly remarkable. This is excellent news for the Yan state. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Caliber is Truth. In terms of power, it can be said to be impeccable. The 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12-cylinder V46 diesel engine is still at the world's first-class level. Lin, when the time comes, we will need to trouble your factory to send professional technicians to guide and assist us in the construction work. Abdul knew very well that the 077 mechanical arsenal was already able to produce high-performance 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12-cylinder V46 diesel engines, so they must have deep accumulation and experience in related technical fields. So he decisively adopted the borrowing strategy, hoping to use the power of the 077 mechanical arsenal to build a factory and obtain technical support and sharing. Abdul, please rest assured about this. We will definitely send the best and most outstanding engineers to Saudi Arabia in the Camel area to fully assist you in establishing a complete set of tank engine production lines. Lin Chenran patted his chest and agreed without hesitation. Abdul, since the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12-cylinder V46 diesel engine we purchased has no technology transfer, this matter must be kept secret. Lin Chenran looked at Abdul with a serious face and said. He knew that, if the matter were to be exposed, the consequences would be disastrous. Not only would it affect the cooperative relationship between the two countries, but it would also cause the Russians to question and resent Yan country. He had to make sure Abdul understood the seriousness of the issue. I know, Lin, this is our shared secret. Abdul nodded in understanding. Lin Chenran continued, even if the Russians find any clues, you must insist that this tank engine is not the Russian 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12-cylinder V46 diesel engine, and you cannot say that it was leaked from our Yan country. His tone was firm and decisive, eliminating all worries. Lin Chenran added, if Russia really gets a hold of our chicken feet, our cooperation will be severely impacted, and may even lead to the termination of the project. Abdul took a deep breath and slowly exhaled, understanding what Lin Chenran meant. He said, "Lin, don't worry. We Sudis are always safe and sound." His eyes were filled with confidence as he assured Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran smiled and said, "That's good. I hope you can handle this properly." Abdul smiled and replied, "Of course, Lin, it must be done properly." The two smiled at each other, each understanding the other's intentions. It would be okay if Russia found out after a while. After all, it still had a few years. Russia was becoming increasingly chaotic. In a few years, Russia would simply split up and become several brothers. By then, who would still hold the 077 machinery arsenal responsible for leaking and selling the 760 horsepower 4-stroke V12 V46 diesel engine? Abdul. Next is the firepower test of the Apocalypse tank. The Saudi Apocalypse tank in the Camel region is equipped with the Russian 125mm smoothbore gun. Its power is self-evident, and everyone knows its formidable strength. At Lin Chenran's signal, the driver of the 077 mechanical arsenal started the Apocalypse tank. With the roar of the engine, the tank slowly moved towards the shooting range. After a while, the Apocalypse tank arrived at the shooting range. Its huge body and majestic appearance could not help but shock people. The muzzle of the huge caliber 125mm smoothbore gun was pointed steadily at the experimental target, like a sleeping giant, awaiting the command of the flag bearer. The flag bearer turned to look at Lin Chenran, waiting for the next order. Lin Chenran smiled slightly and nodded gently, indicating that the test could begin. After receiving the order, the flag bearer gave the order to fire without hesitation. After receiving the order to fire, the tank gunners immediately entered combat mode. They skillfully operated various instruments and equipment, adjusting the angle and range of the gun. Moments later, a deafening roar erupted over the test range. A dazzling flash of fire erupted from the muzzle of the Apocalypse tank, and a massive shell, trailing a long trail of flame, shot out of the massive barrel, streaking across the sky like a meteor. With a resounding bang, the shell collided fiercely with the target. Instantly, a powerful shockwave enveloped the entire range, sending clouds of dust and smoke billowing. When the dust settled, the target vanished, replaced by a deep crater. Shattered metal fragments and burning debris remained within the crater, testifying to the power of the impact. The witnessing crowd was stunned. The power of the 125mm smoothbore gun was beyond imagination. While people often imagined the 125mm smoothbore gun to be impressive, witnessing its actual performance was still incredibly shocking. Especially those bigwigs of the Yan state military, they were shocked and frowned. In the past, the bigwigs of the Yan state military believed that 110 to 115mm smoothbore guns were enough. Now after seeing the power of the 125mm smoothbore gun, they cried out in their hearts, "How careless." The larger the caliber, the more powerful it is, with greater destructive power and deterrence. Lin Chenran knew this very well. He hoped that through this demonstration, everyone would feel the power of the 125mm smoothbore gun more intuitively. So he signaled the testers to drive the Apocalypse tank and continuously aim at the target and shoot. In an instant, the entire test site was drowned in deafening explosions. Flames shot up to the sky, and thick smoke billowed. After a round of intensive shooting, the driver skillfully drove the Apocalypse tank back to the original starting point. At this time, the engineers of the 077 mechanical arsenal quickly got to work and conducted a comprehensive inspection of the tested Apocalypse tank. Abdul, watching everything unfold, asked Lin Chenran with a puzzled look on his face. "Lin, what does this mean?" Lin Chenran smiled faintly and explained directly, "Abdul, we are checking to see if the Apocalypse tank exhibits any abnormalities after firing." The Apocalypse tank had just rolled off the production line, so various inspections were required. This was especially important after firing a round to prevent any potential issues with subsequent testing. Abdul and the other Saudi representatives from the Camel region applauded the move. This was truly responsible. Lin Chenran openly allowed engineers from the 077 machinery and arsenal to inspect the Apocalypse tank after a round of firing in front of the Saudi representatives from the Camel region. This demonstrated that the 077 machinery and arsenal truly considered the sorters from the Camel region to be true partners. After a thorough inspection, the engineers from the 077 machinery and arsenal declared in front of the crowd there were no abnormalities with the Apocalypse tank during testing. Everyone applauded. Suddenly, the applause was thunderous. The firepower test concluded, and the highlight of the test began. Armor defense test. Chapter 97 Leopard 2 tanks bombard Apocalypse tanks from all directions. The Apocalypse tank's armor and defense testing was a top priority, as it directly impacted its ability to meet the Saudi military's needs. Saudi Arabia chose to partner with the 077 machinery and arsenal because of the special basalt steel clad in the Apocalypse tank. This steel offers exceptional protection, effectively withstanding attacks from a wide range of weapons. Abdul, thank you for your interest in the Apocalypse tank, Lin Chenran said. Indeed, Abdul and his team had acquired a currently popular second-generation main battle tank, the Hans Leopard 2. This highly advanced main battle tank boasts powerful firepower and maneuverability. Lin, don't say that. We were originally planning to bring in an American M1 main battle tank to test the Apocalypse tank's armor and defenses, but due to intense surveillance, we couldn't secretly transport it to Yan country, so Abdul apologized repeatedly. Lin Chenran nodded in understanding, acknowledging their difficulties. He knew the Eagles were closely watching, especially since this second-generation main battle tank couldn't be brought into Yan country. Abdul, when the time comes, after the Apocalypse tank is equipped with hunting gear for your army, you can also conduct tests. After all, its smoothbore gun has a caliber of 125mm, which is almost the same as the T-72 tank of the Russian Bear. Lin Chenran said indifferently. Although there is a certain gap between the 125mm smoothbore gun of the Russian Bear and the 125mm smoothbore gun of the Eagle source, the gap between the two is actually not obvious. Lin Chenran also made another suggestion to Saudi Arabia. After they complete the hunting gear for the Apocalypse tank, they can use the M1 tank to test the armor defense capability of the Apocalypse tank. Thank you Lin for providing us with valuable experience. Abdul expressed his gratitude repeatedly. This is related to the national defense and security of Saudi Arabia in the Camel region, so Abdul and others will not take this issue lightly. At Lin Chenran's signal, the staff of the 077 mechanical arsenal began to get busy. They need to park the Apocalypse tank at the designated location, then wait for the subsequent armor defense test. The first to come on stage was the Leopard 2 tank of Hans. The Leopard 2 is a second-generation main battle tank developed by the Hans in the 1970s. It has a combat weight of 55.15 tons, a maximum road speed of 72 km/h, and a maximum range of 550 kilometers. Its main weapon is a 120mm smoothbore gun. The Leopard 2 tanks secretly sent by Saudi Arabia to the Luocho region are clearly Hans's export versions, with various modifications. But that doesn't matter, as long as they can fire 120mm rounds, they're fine. Since the testers at the 077 mechanical arsenal had no experience operating a Leopard 2, they were replaced by Saudi personnel from the Luocho region. Abdul brought a special shift of tank drivers with him this time. Abdul, we are ready, Lin Chenran said, turning to the 077 mechanical arsenal as the staff reported in. Then let the test begin, Abdul said with a smile to Lin Chenran and the Yan military leaders, nodding to Salman beside him. Salman immediately grasped Abdul's intention and turned to give instructions to the Leopard 2 operator. Following Salman's order, the Leopard 2 driver quickly started the engine, and with a deep roar, the tank sped towards the test site. Not long after, the Leopard 2 arrived at the test site, followed by a deafening roar that seemed to rip the sky apart. It was the sound of the Leopard 2 firing, unleashing an armor-piercing round at the Apocalypse tank in front of it. The round, trailing a long trail of fire, hurtled towards the Apocalypse tank at an incredible speed. Just then, Lin Chenran and the others heard an even louder explosion. Then, they saw flames erupting around the Apocalypse tank, thick smoke billowing into the air, and dust rising into the air. Compared to the Apocalypse tank's 125mm smoothbore gun, the Leopard 2's 120mm smoothbore gun seemed somewhat inferior. The top military leaders of the Yan Kingdom remained remarkably calm, watching the entire situation unfold in silence. Not long after, the test results were revealed. Despite firing armor-piercing rounds at such close range, the Leopard 2 tanks were unable to penetrate the Apocalypse tank's frontal defenses. The rounds only left a shallow crater on the front. Although Abdul and the others had previously witnessed the testing of the special Zuanwu steel, they couldn't help but express astonishment when they witnessed the Apocalypse tank withstand the Leopard 2's 120mm armor-piercing rounds. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. The Leopard 2 tank was Hans's second-generation main battle tank, and its armor-piercing rounds were incredibly powerful. The fact that the Apocalypse tank could withstand such a powerful attack unscathed was truly astonishing. Abdul then instructed Salman to continue giving his pilots commands, firing at the Apocalypse tank in different directions. He wanted to test the Apocalypse tank's limits. As soon as the order was given, the Leopard 2 tank quickly moved. It fired multiple armor-piercing shells continuously at the Apocalypse tank being tested, until all the armor-piercing shells in the internal compartment were fired. At this time, everyone was anxiously waiting for the result. The faces of the senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal also showed anxiety, but when they saw their own factory director looking at the explosion very calmly, their hearts also settled down. The backbone was not panicked, and the other senior executives also began to calm down and suppress their inner anxiety. Lin, I see that you look calm, and you seem to be very confident in the Apocalypse tank. Abdul turned his head and saw Lin Chenran very calmly staring at the explosion area in front with a telescope, without any tension on his face. Abdul, of course I have confidence in our own Apocalypse tank. Lin Chenran put down the telescope, turned to Abdul, and said with a smile. Lin Chenran continued, previously, 100mm thick basalt special steel could withstand the bombardment of a T-72 tank's 125mm smoothbore gun. Now, the Leopard 2 tank's main weapon is only a 120mm caliber smoothbore gun. Although the difference is only 5mm in size, the difference in power is huge. And the Apocalypse tank is clad in basalt special steel, and its lowest point is 150mm thick. It would be difficult for a Leopard 2 tank to penetrate it, unless. Abdul's curiosity was instantly piqued. He wanted to hear what Lin Chenran meant by unless. Unless the tank driver can aim at the 150mm thickness of the Apocalypse tank's armor and continuously fire multiple armor-piercing rounds, only then can they possibly penetrate the Apocalypse tank's defenses and inflict damage to the tank. Lin Chenran continued. The probability is simply too small. In the ever-changing battlefield, it's impossible to repeatedly hit the same spot. Happy Kixi Festival. Of course, the author is working hard to write this. Chapter 98, Apocalypse tank test ends. As the thick smoke and flying dust gradually cleared, everyone simultaneously raised their binoculars, intently scrutinizing the Apocalypse tank undergoing testing. From a distance, it was clear that the bombarded Apocalypse tank had not suffered extensive combustion, nor had any significant holes been discovered. Preliminary observations indicated that the Apocalypse tank had successfully withstood the Leopard 2's armor-piercing rounds. A burst of enthusiastic cheers erupted, followed by thunderous applause that echoed throughout the venue. Lin, our Apocalypse tank successfully withstood the Leopard 2's fierce bombardment. Abdul's face lit up with a faint smile. Abdul, judging solely from the appearance, the Apocalypse tank has indeed withstood the Leopard 2's attack. There was no widespread spontaneous combustion or explosion, and no blast holes have formed, Lin Chenran stated calmly, and with remarkable composure. However, the Apocalypse tank, having just endured the intense bombardment, was still radiating a scorching heat. No one could get close enough to inspect it. To avoid wasting precious time, Lin Chenran made a quick decision. Abdul, Elderway, we are currently unable to observe the Apocalypse tank undergoing testing up close. Let's proceed. Knowing everyone's anticipation for this test, he immediately made the change. Abdul immediately expressed his support. I have no problem with that. Elderway nodded, adding, this is your territory, you're in charge. With everyone's unanimous agreement, Lin Chenran decided to continue testing the Apocalypse tank's armor. Following his instructions, Staff from the 077 mechanical arsenal drove a T-72 tank to the testing site. The next step was for the T-72 to fire upon the Apocalypse tank, testing its armor's ability to withstand armor-piercing rounds fired from its 125mm smoothbore gun. The atmosphere was tense and heated as everyone watched intently as the scene unfolded. They eagerly awaited the outcome, eager to see if the Apocalypse tank's powerful armor could withstand the T-72's fierce attack. Everyone's heart was in their throat, anticipating the outcome. After experiencing a series of fierce artillery bombardments, the several Apocalypse tanks participating in the test did not show any signs of being scrapped. They successfully withstood all the test bombardments. When these test Apocalypse tanks returned to normal, Lin Chenran enthusiastically invited everyone to observe them closely. Abdul, I would like to ask you to send a few representatives to conduct a comprehensive inspection of these tested Apocalypse tanks together with the engineers of our 077 mechanical arsenal. Lin Chenran made the request directly. He was full of confidence in the Apocalypse tanks designed, developed, and produced by his own company. Abdul signaled to Salman next to him to arrange personnel to follow the engineers of the 077 mechanical arsenal to jointly check the Apocalypse tanks after the test. This step is very important and there can be no carelessness. After the Apocalypse tanks complete various tests, the first batch of tanks off the production line will be given priority to Saudi Arabia in the Camel area. Saudi Arabia in the Camel area will be equipped with Apocalypse tanks on a large scale. Even if Lin Chenran hadn't proactively invited the Saudi representatives from the Camel region to participate in the inspection and testing of the Apocalypse tank, Abdul would have strongly urged his personnel to conduct inspections and tests alongside the engineers from the 077 mechanical arsenal. After a thorough inspection, they reached a shocking conclusion. The Apocalypse tank successfully withstood all attacks. Whether it was tank shelling or bombardment from other artillery, the Apocalypse tank's defenses were simply impenetrable. Without a single compromise, it met expectations perfectly. After learning the result, Abdul was so excited that he could hardly contain himself. He immediately turned around and asked anxiously, Lin, when can the Apocalypse tanks be mass-produced and manufactured? We can't wait to equip the army with these powerful weapons. Lin Chenran smiled slightly and said gently, Abdul, you are anxious again. Please don't be anxious. Lin Chenran continued, the first batch of Apocalypse tanks have rolled off the production line, but they still need to undergo various rigorous tests to ensure their performance and reliability. At the same time, we will also conduct comprehensive optimization and improvement of the shortcomings based on the test results. We must ensure that every Apocalypse tank has excellent combat effectiveness. Under Abdul's expectant gaze, Lin Chenran stated the approximate time. Abdul, in 1 month, our 077 mechanical arsenal will be able to mass produce Apocalypse tanks. Of course, the number of Apocalypse tanks in the early stage will definitely not be large. Lin Chenran made it clear to the Saudi representatives in the Camel area in advance to avoid further angling when the time comes. Really? Abdul showed a surprised look on his face. Originally, he thought that it would take 2 or 3 months for the large-scale production to be launched. Not only would the Apocalypse tanks need to be fully tested, but the production lines would also need to be prepared. Well, in about a month, the first batch of Apocalypse tanks will be able to be delivered to your Camel region, Saudi Arabia. Then Lin Chenran joked, Abdul, you have to prepare funds to purchase the Apocalypse tanks by then. And Abdul waved his hand proudly and said, Lin, funds are not a problem. If you can speed up, we can give you extra overtime allowances. With a piece of cloth on my head, I'm the richest man in the world, and it's not just talk. The situation in the Camel region is very tense now. Saudi Arabia wants to obtain a killer tank to suppress all the evil spirits. Lin Chenran smiled bitterly, thinking in his heart, in the past 6 months, we have been using the efficiency potion obtained from Wolf Grey. Everyone in the factory has increased their efficiency by hundreds of %, and we still need to speed up. Abdul, I can only say that I will try my best. It takes less than a year to complete a second-generation main battle tank. This is unprecedented in the history of tanks. Generally speaking, it takes many years for a tank to be designed, developed and finally delivered. Except during wartime, the Apocalypse tank of the 077 mechanical arsenal took less than a year from design and development to the first one rolling off the assembly line. Abdul scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. It took only 1 year to roll out the second generation main battle tank, the Apocalypse tank. It's really like a heifer standing upside down. Let me show you my skills. After testing the Apocalypse tank, Lin Chenran began to promote his own aircraft to Abdul and others. What? Aircraft? Can a person with an aircraft on his back soar in the sky like a bird? Abdul's curiosity was aroused by Lin Chenran. Chapter 99 Pterosaur Aircraft. Abdul became more and more excited as he spoke. He widened his eyes and looked at Lin Chenran in disbelief, as if he couldn't believe what he heard. This kind of aircraft that has only appeared in science fiction movies is now said by the young man in front of him to be manufactured by their 077 mechanical arsenal. This is incredible. Could it be a lie? Abdul, it's the aircraft you are thinking of, Lin Chenran said with a smile, his eyes revealing confidence and determination. He knew that Abdul had a strong interest in technological products, especially those high-tech equipment that only appeared in science fiction movies. When he mentioned this aircraft, Abdul's reaction was completely as he expected. Abdul was so excited that he could hardly control himself. His breathing became rapid and his eyes flashed. He couldn't wait to see this magical aircraft and wanted to experience the feeling of flying himself. Lin Chenran felt his enthusiasm and secretly rejoiced in his heart. It seemed that this transaction was likely to be successful. Lin, please take it out quickly and let me see it. If it's true as you say, then money is definitely not a problem, Abdul urged anxiously. He was filled with a desire for aircraft, even obsession. For him, owning one would mean the fulfillment of a dream, an experience beyond the ordinary. I won't hide it from you, I'm fascinated by aircraft, but they only exist in science fiction movies, Abdul said regretfully, a hint of regret in his tone. Just then, Lin Chenran brought him hope, rekindling his passion for aircraft. Lin Chenran smiled slightly and replied firmly, in the past, perhaps only such aircraft could be seen in science fiction movies, but now things are different. We at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal have successfully manufactured an aircraft that allows people to wear it and soar freely into the sky. Amidst the puzzled and bewildered gazes of the crowd, Lin Chenran had the staff of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal bring out the aircraft they had designed and developed. When the aircraft appeared before their eyes, everyone couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. This aircraft looks very delicate and unique in shape. It is very similar to the aircraft in science fiction movies, or even exactly the same. Its exterior design is full of futuristic sense, and people can feel its technological content at a glance. Seeing this, Elder Wendy on the side slowly walked to Lin Chenran's side and asked in a low voice, Lin boy, can this aircraft really take people to fly? There was a hint of doubt in his eyes. The size of this aircraft is relatively small. Can the core energy device provide large-scale energy? According to common sense, such an aircraft should not be able to bear the weight of people and the aircraft itself, and it cannot fly at all. Although the speed is fast enough, even stones can be blown up by the wind. But it also needs to be fast enough. However, in the face of Elder Wen's doubts, Lin Chenran nodded firmly and responded, yes, it can indeed. His tone was without hesitation, and he had full confidence in his own aircraft. Despite Lin Chenran's affirmative answer, Elder Wen still found it unbelievable. This aircraft really violates dynamics. After the aircraft was brought up, Abdul's eyes fixed on it, as if it were a stunning beauty. His greedy fiery gaze seemed to devour the aircraft entirely. Lin Chenran, observing this, smiled faintly and directly invited Abdul to take a close look. Abdul, please. Abdul strode forward and, without hesitation, began to examine and play with the aircraft up close. His eyes were filled with intense desire, a desire that seemed to burn, as if he wanted to claim the aircraft for himself. The aircraft designed and developed by the 077 Machinery Arsenal was truly stunning, a work of art. Its unique design, with sleek lines, every detail showcased exquisite craftsmanship and a sense of high technology. Its stylish color scheme was also captivating at first sight. Lin, could you please introduce the aircraft your factory has designed and developed? Abdul asked eagerly, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Abdul, I won't explain too much yet. Let's test it first. Lin Chenran said seriously. Many people here don't believe that the aircraft designed and developed by our 077 machinery arsenal can actually carry humans into space. Let's show them first, Lin Chenran continued. Lin Chenran didn't follow the usual product demonstrations, but instead skipped the explanation and went straight to the test flight. This unconventional move surprised everyone present. Really? Abdul's excitement immediately grew upon hearing Lin Chenran's words. He had been looking forward to witnessing the aircraft carrying humans in person. The tedious explanations didn't matter to Abdul. He was more concerned with the actual results and performance. When Lin Chenran suggested proceeding directly to the test flight, he supported it without hesitation. Great. Let's just test it, Abdul shouted excitedly. The others also expressed their support, eager to see if this legendary aircraft could truly carry humans. Lin Chenran gave the order to the on-site staff, begin preparations for the test flight. Upon receiving the order, the on-site staff quickly sprang into action. They lifted the aircraft to the designated location and helped the test pilot put it on. They also carefully checked the aircraft's components and equipment to ensure everything was functioning properly. After a period of intense and frantic preparation, all preparations for the test flight were complete. The test pilot gave a thumbs up to the people around him, indicating his readiness. Lin Chenran nodded, signaling the start of the test flight. Then, the test pilot started the aircraft's engine. With a roar, a stream of invisible energy erupted from the rear exhaust, and the aircraft slowly ascended into the air. The entire scene fell silent, everyone staring intently at the aircraft in the air. Soon, the crowd erupted in joyful cheers. Whoa. This. Takeolah. Everyone exclaimed in amazement. They hadn't expected the 077 mechanical arsenal to produce such a powerful aircraft. Its energy system was truly impressive. At Lin Chenran's signal, the test pilot began to control the Wing-Lung aircraft to fly further away. Soon, the Wing-Lung aircraft was getting farther and farther away from them. Soon, the Wing-Lung aircraft reappeared in front of everyone, circled in the air for a few times, and landed steadily on the ground. Chapter 100. The pterosaur flying vehicle is really cool. Throughout the test flight, the Wing-Lung aircraft performed exceptionally well, successfully carrying the test pilot into the air and carrying him freely, maintaining a stable attitude throughout the flight. When the test pilot landed smoothly, the audience erupted in thunderous applause and cheers. Everyone rushed to the Wing-Lung aircraft, eager to get a closer look at this awe-inspiring masterpiece. This Wing-Lung aircraft embodies all the most advanced technologies from our 077 machinery and arsenal, Lin Chenran proudly introduced. Not only does it allow the operator to fly at low altitudes of up to 50 kilometers, it can also soar through the sky at an astonishing speed of 70 kilometers per hour. Although the Wing-Lung aircraft's power supply system is relatively advanced, it still lags behind alien technology. For the wealthy, a 50-kilometer energy reserve is more than enough to meet their needs. This is a luxury product designed for the wealthy, not a mass-produced product. Of course, it can also be used for military purposes. The Saudi representatives from the Camel region, especially Abdul, had a clear look of desire upon seeing the Wing-Lung aircraft. This high-tech, high-performance aircraft was undoubtedly their dream. Abdul eagerly inquired, Lin, can this Wing-Lung aircraft be mass-produced? This was his primary concern. He had never cared much about the technical aspects. Lin Chenran smiled and replied, Abdul, our 077 machinery arsenal already has the capability to mass-produce the Wing-Lung aircraft. He paused, then continued, because it utilizes advanced materials and processes, the cost is higher, and therefore the price is relatively high. To reduce the weight of the Wing-Lung aircraft, we've specially selected the special Zuanwu 2 steel. Compared to the Zuanwu 1 steel used on the Apocalypse tank, it's lighter and more ductile. Hearing this, Abdul's eyes flashed with excitement. As long as mass production could be achieved, all other problems would be easily solved. So he said generously, Lin, price is not an issue. Their country was renowned for its oil resources, and claiming to be the richest man in the world was no mere rhetoric. Abdul then asked, does the Wing-Lung guarantee pilot safety? Looking at such a sci-fi aircraft makes me want to experience the feeling of flying myself. He made no secret of his love and desire for the wing loom, even expressing his innermost thoughts. Lin Chenran joked, although the wing loom looks unreliable and seems to have no protective measures at all, it's actually quite sophisticated. In terms of safety, we at the 077 machinery arsenal have put a lot of effort into providing the most comprehensive pilot protection. It turned out that the wing loom was equipped with a parachute that could be manually deployed the moment the pilot felt the impact of the fall. Furthermore, if the aircraft detected an abnormal descent speed or system damage, a safety manager would remind the pilot how to avoid risks and perform the most normal operations. In short, the pilot's safety was guaranteed. Abdul smiled with satisfaction upon hearing this. This was the result he had wanted. Now, his desire to control the wing loom had reached its peak. Abdul's eyes lit up, and he asked expectantly, "Lin, can I try to control the wing loom aircraft now?" His eager eyes betrayed his eagerness to experience the thrill of piloting one. Of course. Lin Chenran agreed without hesitation. However, considering the potential risks, he felt it necessary to sign a liability waiver. While he had complete confidence in his own wing loom aircraft, he couldn't ignore any potential problems. At Lin Chenran's signal, a staff member from the 077 machinery arsenal quickly withdrew a liability waiver from his briefcase. This agreement clarified the responsibilities and obligations of both parties, ensuring that all parties' rights and interests were properly protected in the event of an unforeseen situation. Abdul, although I have great confidence in the wing loom aircraft we designed, developed, and manufactured, we must nonetheless sign this liability waiver out of an abundance of caution. If you encounter any mishaps while piloting, all consequences will be borne by you, Lin Chenran explained firmly. He then emphasized, our 077 mechanical arsenal will bear no responsibility in this matter. You are our valued VVVIP guest. If this experience results in any harm to you, we would not want to see that happen. Lin Chenran's words plunged Abdul into deep thought. He understood that this request was not unreasonable, but rather a responsible one. After careful consideration, Abdul finally nodded, expressing his understanding and acceptance, and expressed his willingness to sign the waiver. He knew that if he didn't, he wouldn't be able to experience the awe-inspiring thrill of soaring through the sky. However, the Saudi representatives in the Camel region seemed hesitant and concerned. They tried to dissuade Abdul from trying this new thing, but a single look from Abdul silenced them. Abdul signed the waiver without hesitation. As he signed, he felt a surge of anticipation and excitement. Lin, now I can try to control your wing loom aircraft? Abdul asked eagerly. Lin Chenran smiled and replied, of course. Seeing Abdul's enthusiasm and determination, Lin Chenran was deeply pleased. He immediately arranged for his most professional test pilot to instruct Abdul on how to operate the wing loom. With the test pilot's patient explanations and demonstrations, Abdul gradually mastered the basics of the wing loom. Although still a little nervous, his excitement made him eager to experience it for himself. Once everything was ready, Lin Chenran instructed the staff to suit Abdul up in the wing loom and perform final adjustments and checks to ensure safety. With the staff's attentive care, Abdul was successfully suited up in the wing loom. The staff then carefully inspected the wing loom to ensure all components were in optimal condition. Finally, Lin Chenran confirmed Abdul's readiness. With a positive response, he gave the order for takeoff. With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, Abdul launched the wing loom. An invisible force lifted Abdul up. Woohoo. This feels so good. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.